Strangers.
All right, Ron, thank you very much. And we go to the ball game with the Angels trying to reduce that magic number to 9. 19 games left to play, including tonight. And this evening, it's Don Sutton going against the Kansas City Royals. Leading it off, Willie Wilson, who had such a marvelous game last night. He went 3 for 5. And Lonnie Smith on deck had 4 hits. But the Angels pulled it out nonetheless. Sutton to the windup, and the first pitch of the game is swung on and pulled toward first. Right there at the bag is Rich, and he steps on the bag for the out. So Wilson, first ball swinging as he did last night, but this time he grounds out. And the center fielder back to the dugout with his average down a tick from the 271 mark with which he began the game. So that'll bring up Lonnie Smith, who with his 4 hits last night lifted his average to 293, and he is hot right now. He's hit an 11 straight, during which he's hit 5-11. Sutton with that slow windup delivers, and his fastball is inside, 1-0. So Smith, about as hot as he's been all year long. In fact, his average of 293 at a seasonal high. Sutton right back to him, and there's a line drive hit well to center field. Pettis going back on the ball, still going back. On the track, he makes it over-the-shoulder catch. So Lonnie Smith hits it well, but not well enough. 2 down in the opening inning, and Rudy Law will be stepping in. The former Dodger, former Chicago White Sox. Now laboring with the Royals, hitting 257. The Angels with Bobby Grich at first base again tonight. Wally Joyner improving with that shoulder, but not yet ready to start. Gus Polidor at second. Dick Schofield, the shortstop, and Doug DeCinces at third. Sutton cranks it up, and the first one to Rudy Law is swung on and driven to right center field. George Hendrick on his horse. He's there and makes the catch, and it's an easy 1-2-3 inning for Don Sutton. No runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left on base, and after a half an inning here at the stadium, it's the Royals nothing and the Angels coming up.
Okay, and again, Don Sutton for the Angels, pitching for the Angels. Danny Jackson for the Royals. Jackson's 10-10. Sutton, a nice record this season, 14-9. Another game starting up just about the same time as ours. The White Sox at Seattle. Floyd Bannister pitching for Chicago. He's 9-11. Mark Langston, 12-11 for Seattle. And a game that started just a little while ago, and they're still scoreless in the bottom of the second, is the San Francisco at San Diego game. That started up about a half an hour ago. Vida Blue is 9-10, pitching for the Giants. Ed Vosberg, who has no record at all this season, 0-0 on the mound for the Padres. We might mention that California has some 18 games left to play, including this one. Actually, the Angels have played only 143, so it would be 19. However, there's one game that they won't play unless it's necessary, and that is a game at Cleveland. So for all practical purposes, 18 games left in the season for the Angels, 11 of them at home, including tonight's action with Kansas City, another one with KC on Thursday. Then there are 3 with Chicago on the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st, 3 with Cleveland at home, the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th. Then the Angels have 3 with Texas on the 26th, 27th, and 28th. Then a little bit of a road trip for 7 games. They go to Kansas City for 3 games on the 29th and the 30th and October 1st. And then finally, winding up the season, 4 games at Texas, where the Angels are playing Texas, the Rangers, on October 2nd, October 3rd, October 4th, and October 5th. And should the division race really narrow up, and of course it may very well, especially with those 4 games at Texas, and should the Angels falter in the meanwhile and Texas do some good work, they will complete that 1 game at Cleveland.
Bottom of the first inning, no score as we begin, and Gary Pettis takes the first pitch from Danny Jackson and grounds it to second base. Frank White right there to field and throws him out. So just like that, 1 away. So Jackson ready in a hurry and gets Pettis quite quickly, and Dick Schofield will come up now, hitting 251. Danny Jackson, 10-10 on the year, an ERA of 3.49, trying to become only the second Kansas City starter with a winning record this year. The other, Mark Gubicza, was 10-6. And it's certainly not the way it figured when the season began. They had Brett Saberhagen, the Cy Young Award winner, Tyler Lebrand, a big winner last year, too. There's a fastball to Schofield for a strike on 1. But the starting rotation this year has been inconsistent, to say the least, for the Royals. The strike 1 to Schofield is just inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Danny Jackson, though, has had his good moments. Though he is 0-1 against the Angels, his defeat was a memorable one because he threw a 5-hitter at the Angels, which was his best performance of the year. The 1-1 pitch is a chopper toward first. Seitzer is there. He waves off Jackson and beat Schofield to the bag. So quickly, 2 up and 2 down. And that'll bring up Downing, who was one of the key architects of last night's victory. He had a base hit in that 7th inning to help the Angels come from behind. And he has been doing it all year long to the Royals. He's the Angels' leading hitter against Kansas City, hitting .367. So 2 out, nobody on. Bottom of the first, no score. Danny Jackson waiting for Downing. And Bryan settles in. The left-hander staring down at his catcher, Jim Sundberg. Now he cranks it up. And the first pitch to Bryan is on the inside corner, called a strike. It's Kevin Seitzer at first base tonight. Frank White at second. Buddy Biancalana the shortstop. Jamie Quirk at third. Strike 1 is popped up. Foul ground, first base side. Seitzer coming down and over, and he makes the catch. And the side retires. So like Don Sutton, Danny Jackson disposes of the first 3 batters he faces and does it in a hurry. No runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left, and we'll go to the second. Angels nothing, Royals nothing.
Now the Angels are on a little bit of a roll, a mini roll, if you will. They have won 2 and a row, 7 out of their last 10, and the last one at the hands, they have at the expense, that is, of the Royals as they start this 3-game series that started on Tuesday, and this is the second of the 3 that we're in tonight. Bob Boone's 2-out single driving in pinch runner Devin White in the 8th inning on Tuesday, and that gave the Angels a 6-5 victory, just eking that one out over Kansas City. The victory reducing, as you heard, the Angels' magic number to 10 for clinching their first American League West title since 1982. Now, despite Texas' 10-6 triumph over Oakland, California maintained its 9-game lead over the second-place Rangers going into Wednesday action. Now, Texas has, of course, won again, so that narrows the gap to 8.5. In this game on Tuesday, Kansas City had tied the score in the 8th on Bo Jackson's 2-run homer. Loser in the game was Dan Quisenberry. He's 2-7 on the year. He retired the first 2 batters in the 8th before pinch hitter Wally Joyner beat out an infield single just out of Quisenberry's reach. White ran for Joyner, stole second, before Boone lined an RBI single to right. Right fielder Jackson's throw to the plate was wide. Gary Lucas was the winner in this one. He's 4-0 on the season. Pitched a scoreless 9th inning. He was awarded the victory for that effort. Donnie Moore, who had yielded Jackson's homer on his first pitch, was the pitcher of record during the California rally, but he was deemed by the officials ineffective, so Gary Lucas got that victory, and of course that is their privilege.
Well, that first inning went by in a hurry. Ron, have you seen an inning this year that went faster than that? We didn't even get a chance to spot the defenses in there.
No, I tell you what, you have a bunch of guys down there in that batter's box this evening that are going after that first pitch. And that also tells you one other thing, that both sides know that the guy that's on the mound is going to throw strikes, and so you might as well go up there and go hacking.
For Sutton, through the course of the year, has been working under basically a 100-pitch limit. And the Royals going up there swinging in a hurry, they actually play into his hands, because that means he gets the job done on fewer pitches. So here's Jamie Quirk to lead things off for the Royals. No score in the second. Sutton delivers, and the first pitch is swung on and fouled away. Quirk is in there for George Brett. Brett started last night for the first time since August 29th, battling a sore shoulder, and obviously it's still a problem because he's not in there this evening. Quirk with a .218 average, 5 homers, 20 runs batted in, but that's a bit deceiving because lately he's been swinging very well. Sutton right back to him, and the strike 1 is fisted foul, third base way, and it bounces in front of the Angel dugout and back into the seats. Boy, he didn't get much of a hack at that one.
I tell you what, that was a weak pop-up. Unless you've hit a few of them. He still didn't come close to my record yet.
What's your record?
I hit one back to the pitcher one night. Well, I'll tell you about that in a second.
Here's a strike 2 from Sutton, and it's just outside, 1-2.
You know how they have that egg tossing contest?
Yeah.
How soft you can toss the egg back and forth?
So it doesn't break.
That's probably as hard as I hit it back to the pitcher. It just barely had enough on it to carry to the mound.
Next one, the Quirk is outside, 2-2. And you had the full cut, right?
I had a full cut. I came back to the dugout, and Drysdale sat down next to me, and he says, Ron, that might be the puniest hit I've ever seen in my life.
2-2, the count to Jamie Quirk. Sutton delivers, and it's dribbled slowly up the first base line. Sutton's down to get it. He quickly flips it to Gritch, covering in time. That was a tough play, because as the ball went up the line, Sutton came down to get it. Gritch started to go for it, and then when he realized Don was going to make the play, he had to retreat to get into position to take the throw. But the play goes in the book 3-1, and that'll bring up Frank White, who's hitting .266. the first one to White, and it's a curveball low, 1-0. We started to spot that Angel defense for you in the first inning. Did not do it completely, and we'd like to do that now. Here's the 1-0 from Sutton, and White hits a high pop fly over short, shallow left. Schofield backpedaling, and he'll make the catch on the ground. So 2 down, and Kevin Seitzer coming up. We mentioned in the infield, it's Bobby Grich at first, Polidor at second, Schofield to short, Stop and DeCince at third. In the outfield, it's Brian Downing in left, Gary Pettis in center, and George Hendrick in right. Bob Boone catching, and it's Don Sutton on the mound. A winner of 4 consecutive decisions, although he did not figure in his last start at Chicago. And he is perhaps pitching his best baseball of the year right now. His ERA certainly at its low point of the season at 3.77. And he's given up just 1 earned run in his last 23 and a third innings of work. Boy, he's been doing well. His first one to Seitzer is a curveball that's just high, 1-0. We saw Seitzer for the first time last night. He went 0 for 4, but he displayed an outstanding swing. Certainly it impressed some of the Angels. In particular, Moose Stubing, the Angel hitting instructor. The 1-0 pitch is a breaking ball in there for a strike, 1-1. Moose was saying that he looks to be very fundamentally sound and figures he's going to be a good hitter. And that he has been wherever he has played in the organization for the Royals. There's one fouled back off of first out of play, 1-2. In fact, he has not had a pro season where he's hit less than 297. He hit 318 this year in Omaha. Kevin Seitzer filling in for Steve Balboni, who's on the sidelines again tonight with that sore back. And the Angels glad to hear that because Balboni has worn them out down through the last 2 years. No score in the second. 2 out, bases empty. The 1-2 to Seitzer is a line drive at short. Schofield reaches up and pulls it down. So Seitzer hits the ball hard, but has nothing to show for it as Don Sutton mows down the Royals in a hurry again in the second. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. And after 1.5 at the Big A, Angels nothing and the Royals nothing.
Now, if you're following the National West race at all, you know that Houston defeated Cincinnati on Tuesday night, and Houston has done it once again, and they're just about putting the Reds out of reach here. Houston now has won 83, lost 62, and the Reds are 74 and 71. They fall 9 games behind the Astros, and that makes the magic number now for the Astros. It was 11. It is now 9, having defeated Cincinnati. And here's the way the schedule looks. For the Astros, of course, they play Cincinnati once again at Cincinnati. Then they return home to the Astrodome, and they have 3 with San Diego on the 19th, 20th, and 21st. They'll be hosting Los Angeles for 2 games on the 22nd and 23rd. The Astros will then host the Giants for 2 games on the 24th and 25th, and then 3 games with Atlanta at the Astrodome on October 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Meanwhile, between those Atlanta and Giants games, they'll be going away again to Atlanta on September 26th, 27th, and 28th as the Braves host them. And the Astros also go to the Giants the end of the month and the beginning of next month, September 30th, October 1st, and October 2nd for 3 games. And if Cincinnati doesn't rally here, you can pretty well kiss the National West goodbye as far as the Reds are concerned, because Houston is very rapidly now gaining a lock on that particular division.
1.5 innings already in the books here at the Big A. A scoreless tie as the Angels come up for the second time against Danny Jackson. Doug DeCince, George Hendrick, and Bobby Grich doing the honors as the Angels try to continue their outstanding play of late. They have been winning with regularity. They've taken 5 of the last 7. The pitch to DeCince is swung on and fouled off on 1. Doug is the Security Pacific KMPC designated hitter for this ballgame, so do keep track of his at-bats and then listen to the Jim Lang Show on KMPC tomorrow between 6 and 10 a.m., and you may get a chance from Gentleman Jim to win a $100 savings account from Security Pacific. DeCince grounds one toward third, Quirk up to get the ball, guns across to Seitzer in plenty of time, and DeCince is gone. So Doug, who started that at-bat hitting .260 with 23 homers and 89 runs batted in, will have to wait until his next at-bat to improve on that. Hendrick hitting .275. The first one from Jackson is in there for a strike on 1. George also with 13 homers, 44 runs batted in. And really, the second half of the year, he's been making excellent contact. He swings and hits a high fly ball over third down the left field line, pretty shallow. Coming in is Rudy Law, and in fair ground, he makes a one-hand grab. So Hendrick is retired. 2 down in the bottom of the second, and both pitchers mowing down the opposition. Sutton getting the first 6 he has faced, Jackson the first 5. And that'll bring up Bobby Grich, who's hitting 288. The Angels certainly doing what you'd expect a championship team to do at this time of the year, and that's win, and win regularly. They've taken 16 of the last 20 games, 26 of the last 36. Hard to do better than that. There's a fastball that misses for ball 1, 1-0. And you know they're only 10 wins away from tying a club record. The 1-0 pitch is a line drive, foul down the right field line. 1-1 to Bobby. Back in '82, a Gene Mauch-led team established the organizational record for wins in a single season, 93. And, of course, they won the division in the process. With 19 games remaining, including this one, they've got a good shot of setting a new standard. The 1-1 to Grich is a ground ball back to the middle into center field. There's the first base hit of the night. So Bobby is able to single back to the middle, and that'll bring up Rick Burleson, who's at 288 as well. You know, Ron, Danny Jackson, though his record is 10-10, can be a very impressive pitcher. He has a good fastball, one of the better sliders in the American League. And I remember reading some comments made by a lot of the St. Louis players after the World Series last year, and it was Danny Jackson who most impressed them. There's a ground ball to third. Quirk bobbles, picks it up, throws to first in time, and we'll get Ron's reaction on Jackson a bit later on because the second inning is over as Jackson is able to get the Angels quickly here in the second inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 man left aboard. We'll go to the third. Angels nothing, Royals nothing.
And let's check some of the action already completed. Also in the American League, Boston, as we mentioned, having beaten the Brewers 4-1. Dennis Oil Can Boyd the victor, scattered 8 hits, and Don Baylor and Dwight Evans hitting back-to-back home runs in the 6th inning. And that gave the Red Sox not only the win over Milwaukee, but their 11th straight home victory. 4-1 over the Brewers. Boston entering the contest with a 9-game lead in the American East. And this victory now cuts the magic number for clinching the division title to 8. And that, of course, pending the outcome of games involving Toronto and New York. And as we mentioned earlier, both Toronto and New York are in the process of losing right now, unless they manage to rally. Any combination of Red Sox victories and losses by a competitor, of course, will give Boston its first division title in 11 years, since 1975. Oil Can Boyd is now 15-9 on the year. He struck out 6 batters, walked 1, records his 9th complete game of the season. Boston had taken a 2-0 lead in the second inning on just 1 hit. Baylor drew a leadoff walk. Evans doubled high off the left field wall. That scored Baylor. Then a wild pitch by Mark Knudsen put Evans on third, and he scored on Tony Armas's infield out. Mark Knudsen now takes the loss. He is 0-1 on the year. In the 6th, Baylor belted his 30th home run of the season over the left field wall. Evans followed by slugging number 24 for him, high off the light tower just behind the left field wall at Fenway Park.
We played 2 innings here at Anaheim Stadium, and boy, we've motored along. No score so far, as both pitchers have been on their game to this point. Bo Jackson leads it off for the Royals against Don Sutton. Leading it off for us, Ron Fairley. Ron, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Alan. Hello, everybody. Don Sutton facing Bo Jackson, who had a good night last night, and the first pitch of the inning is a curveball hit sharply on 2 hops to Schofield. He knocks it down and goes to first base in time. Bo Jackson does not have a good start out of the batter's box. But after he gets it going, look out. I don't think there's anybody in the league that can run with it. And I mean that. Now, Willie Wilson is on this staff, or on this ball club, and he runs extremely well as Sundberg comes to the plate. But I'm not too sure at a 100-yard dash that Bo Jackson cannot run it.
I'll tell you one thing. He makes a routine ground ball
close
an adventure. That's right. You make a mistake with him running, and he's going to beat it.
Here's Sundberg in the first pitch is outside for ball 1. Sutton has set down 7 straight.
You know, Ron, yesterday he hit the home run, and that got most of the attention in the press, but some of the Angels were really more impressed by something else he did.
There's a curveball over the plate, but low for ball 2. What was that?
You remember when he grounded to shortstop, I think it was the 6th inning against Vern Rule. He hit a rocket to Schofield. Something like 1 hop. He almost beat that play.
It was a close play. Here's a 2-0 pitch. swung on and missed for a strike, 2-1.
And that was what they were talking about today before the ball game. That impressed them more than the home run.
Well, you have to admire anyone that takes the physical ability out on the field and does something over and above what anybody else can do. Here's the 2-1 pitch. And his line towards center field. Pettis on his horse, and he's there, and he almost overruns it. A line drive into right center field, and Gary Pettis, with that speed of his own, put on a burst of speed and almost misjudged that and almost overran it. So there's out number 2 in the inning, and Sutton has retired the first 8 that he's faced. Let's pause for station identification. You're listening to the Angels Radio Network.
This game is moving along like a 100-yard dash. Major League Baseball coming your way on the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service. We hope you're enjoying the game wherever in the world you happen to be listening.
The first pitch to Buddy Biancalana is swung on and fouled back out of play. But just to continue, I thought just a little bit, and that doesn't make any difference whether it's on the basketball court, the football field. When you see someone that has that extra burst of speed, boy, they just kind of pop your eye, don't they? Well, that's the way that Jackson is. Here's the 0-1 pitch, and Biancalana swings and misses way out in front of the changeup, and it's quickly strike 2. Both teams this evening all swinging at the first pitch. Biancalana did it. Bo Jackson did it. Here's the strike 2 pitch, and it's swung on and fouled right at the home plate area, and the count remains 0-2.
Well, if a team wants to do that to Don Sutton, they're going to have problems because he has a tendency to sense that and not throw you anything good to hit.
You don't have to throw a strike, first pitch. Of course, you know, I will say this about Bo Jackson. He is starting his career playing baseball different than probably anybody else, with the exception of a guy like a Mickey Mantle. But different than anybody else. Here's the strike 2 pitch. Tried to turn it over and ran the ball outside for a ball 1-2.
Well, how many rookies have an entire nation looking at them before they've played even 2 or 3 games?
Well, even aside from the media aspect of things. Here's the 1-2 pitch. A curveball low, and that's 2-2 now. Different in the sense is that how many guys start their career that have that kind of physical strength and power to go along with the speed and the running ability and the strong throwing arm. 2-2 pitch is popped up at the home plate area. Boone out near, and now DeCense coming in and running Boone off of it right in front of home plate. And that'll do it for Biancalana and Kansas City. We'll talk more about that when we come back. Another 1-2-3 inning. Sutton has retired the first 9 that he's faced. And after 2.5 innings of play here at the Big A, still no score.
Let's change the subject briefly in case you missed the UPI poll that came out earlier this week, the top 20 in football. We'll recap them for you briefly. And there have been some changes, of course, notably Tennessee, OSU, and UCLA falling right off the top 20, with Tennessee really taking a drop from number 8 all the way down to below the top 20, having lost to Mississippi State 27-23. OSU was number 12 last week. Ohio State lost to Washington 40-7, some kind of loss there, and also fell off the top 20. UCLA was right at the bottom of the 20, number 19 last week, and was idle, but still managed to be edged off the 20. So here's the way it looks right now. Number 1 is Oklahoma. Number 2, Miami. Number 3, Michigan. Number 4, Alabama. Number 5, Nebraska. Then it's Penn State, Washington, LSU, Baylor, and Georgia. Number 11 is Auburn. Number 12, Arkansas. BYU, number 13. Iowa, number 14. Arizona made the number 15 spot. Maryland is number 16. And then Arizona State, unrated last week. Unranked, that is, now number 17 on the UPI college football poll. Florida State, also not on the top 20 last week, has made it to number 18. Texas A&M, which was number 7 last week, but because of its loss to LSU, falls to number 19. And number 20 on the UPI college football poll is Southern Cal.
Gus Polidor lead things off for the Angels in their half of the 3rd inning. He'll be followed by Boone. And then back to the top of the order in Gary Pettis. No score, bottom of the 3rd inning. Just 1 hit so far. That a base hit by Bobby Grich in the 2nd inning. Polidor looks at 1 low and outside, ball 1. Gus last night went 2 for 3. He's batting .360. Here's the next pitch, and it's a ground ball hit off the hands towards second base on 2 hops. White has it, and the short toss to Seitzer at first base, and Polidor is gone. 4-3 in the putout. That makes 1 away, and that brings up the hero in last night's game, Bob Boone. Boone batting .223, 7 home runs, and 46 runs driven in. And the first pitch to him is low and inside for ball one. Also, we were talking in last night's game about the fact of Schofield, Pettis, and Boone as the next pitch goes in and low and inside, 2-0. And in spring training, you knew that primarily would make up the bottom third of the Angels lineup. And when you take a look at tonight's play, Pettis has 50 runs driven in. Here's the 2-0 pitch, and Boone fouls it back. Dick Schofield has 54 runs driven in, and then Bob Boone has 46. That makes a total of 150. Would you take that in spring training to get 150 RBIs out of your bottom third of the lineup? Absolutely. Here's a 2-1 pitch on the way, and it's hanging outside, 3-1. And there's still more games to play, but the point well taken is that the big difference in the ball club this year, Downing and DeCinces and the guys in the middle part of the lineup have had good years. There's one that's over for a strike, and it's a full count, 3-2. But that production in the bottom third of the lineup has really been a major factor why the Angels are where they are today. Boone stepping out. It is 3 balls and 2 strikes to Bob. They play him straight away. Jackson's pitch is on the way, and Boone hits it right off the hands, right back to the pitcher who knocks it down, and Jackson goes to first base, almost threw it away. And so Boone is out, 1-3 and a put out. And we go back to the top of the order in Gary Pettis. For Danny Jackson, he is really almost matching what Sutton has done. He has retired 8 of 9 that he has faced, and Sutton has retired the first 9. Pettis bounced out to second his only time up. Bunts went along the third base side. In comes the third baseman and the pitcher, and neither one of them can make the play. Not Biancalana, but Jackson trying to get a handle on the ball and took his eye off of it, and Gary Pettis has an infield bunt for a base hit. So a 2-out single. That brings up the shortstop, Dick Schofield, who bounced out to first base his only time up. Keep an eye on Gary Pettis. He has 40 stolen bases and has stolen 18 of the last 20. Jackson comes set, and the pitch to the plate is a looper into left field. That will fall for a base hit. Pettis holding at second base as Rudy Long gets the ball back to the infield, and the Angels have runners at first and second. Well, last night, Angels started to put things together after 2 men were out, and of course they had the benefit of a couple of 2 or 3 base on balls. And then they dropped a couple of hits in there, but all that action took place after 2 men were away. And here this evening, Polidor bounces out, Boone bounces out, Gary Pettis and Schofield have now singled. And so the Angels were the first threat of the game as Downing is waiting, and the pitch is over for a call strike 1 right around the knees. Downing, working on a mini 3-game hitting streak, has had a good month of September so far, batting right around 400. The 0-1 pitch is swung on and missed. Downing chasing a high fastball. And now Bryant is behind on the count 0-2. Also here in the month of September, Downing has hit 3 home runs and driven in 11. He has 82 in the year. Of course, Joyner leads the ball club, followed by DeCinces, who has 89. The strike 2 pitch is a call, strike 3 in the inside corner, and Downing cannot pull the trigger. And so Schofield and Pettis are left on base. And for the Angels, they had 2 hits in the inning. They have stranded 3 so far, and after 3 complete innings of play, still no score.
The full Senate has made its choices. William Rehnquist becomes Chief Justice of the United States, and Antonin Scalia has been confirmed as a Supreme Court Justice. Rehnquist was confirmed 65 to 33. That's the highest number of negative votes given any Supreme Court Justice ever confirmed. Rehnquist replaces the retiring Chief Justice Warren Burger. Television evangelist Pat Robertson told a large crowd in Washington he will run for president if he gets 3 million signatures over the next year. Education Secretary William Bennett sharply criticized Robertson for a comment which suggested Christian activists are more patriotic and family-loving than other people. Another bomb exploded in Paris today, this one killing 5 and injuring more than 50. It's the 5th terrorist attack in Paris in the past 10 days. The Arab groups claimed responsibility for some of those blasts as the United States is next and a statement mentioned skyscrapers and the Statue of Liberty. The New York Mets have become the first team to make the playoffs, taking the National League Eastern Division, beating the Chicago Cubs 4-0. I'm Mary Margaret Myers.
Thank you, Mary Margaret. And we'll tell you also, Boston, of course, has beaten Milwaukee 4-1, and Baltimore and Detroit have done Boston a favor and not done New York and Toronto any favor at all. Baltimore's beaten New York 8-3. Detroit's beaten Toronto 8-6. And, of course, that puts New York and Toronto now a full 10 games behind the Boston Red Sox. And the Red Sox magic number was going into Wednesday 9. It is now 7 as a result of the Boston win and the New York and Toronto losses.
We go to the fourth inning, and Don Sutton will be facing the top of the order in Wilson, Smith, and then Law. Don, coming out of the chute very strong here this evening, has shut down the first 9 that he's faced. Sutton builds to the windup, and the pitch is a fastball high for ball 1. Just a couple of added notes for you about Don Sutton as he starts again, and the 1-0 pitch sails high and inside, and the count is 2-0. His start this evening is 702. That is second only to Cy Young, who has 818 in his Major League history. Don is sixth in strikeouts with 3,423. 2-0 pitches on the way, and Wilson swings and misses for a strike. The count is now 2-1. He is ninth in shutout with 58. He is 11th in innings pitched at 4,974 and 2/3. Lifetime 3-4 against Kansas City. He is 0-1 this year. Sutton builds to the windup, and the 2-1 delivery is swung on and missed. That time the screwball had him out in front, and the count is 2-2. Willie Wilson, with that great speed, has hit safely in 6 of the last 7. When you look at the Kansas City lineup, their first 3 batters all can run. 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed, strike 3. And Sutton records his first strikeout of the game after falling behind with a 2-0 count. Then strikes out Wilson. That brings up Lonnie Smith, their designated hitter. The first 3 batters in Kansas City's lineup, Wilson, Smith, and Law, they have stolen bases like this, 30, 26, and 13. Wilson has stolen 30 of 38. Here's the first pitch to Smith. And he swings and pops it up behind home. Lonnie Smith has stolen 26 of 34 attempts. And Rudy Law is 13 out of 19. And so you can see the key as far as this ball club is concerned, you want to keep the first 3 guys off the bases. Here's the 0-1 pitch on the way. And it is just inside, and the count goes to 1-1. Sutton here at the Big A has won 9 of his 14 games. So he has been very effective here on the confines of the Big A. Although he has had his troubles against Western Division teams. 1-1 pitch. Inside again, and it goes to 2-1. Don has won 5 games against the West. He's won 9 against the Eastern Division teams. 2-1 deliveries on the way. And it's a curveball over for a strike, 2-2. Sutton has now set down the first 10 that he's faced. Lonnie Smith flying out to center field his first time up, working on an 11-game hitting streak. Here's the 2-2 pitch. And it's popped up behind first base. Back goes Gritch. Over is Polidor, and it's Gus Polidor in the outfield grass making the play. And Lonnie Smith is retired. That is 11 in a row set down by Sutton. And brings up the left fielder, Rudy Law. Rudy Law. Rudy Law fired out to right field. His first time up, he's 0 for 1. Did not play in last night's game. And the first pitch is low and outside, ball 1. The Texas Rangers won this afternoon against the Oakland A's. So if the Angels want to hold on to their 9-game lead, they have to win tonight. There's a pitch that goes outside. And the count is 2-0. Law batting .256, 1 home run, and 34 runs driven in. They play him straight away. Here's the 2-0 pitch by Sutton, and it is on the outside corner for a strike, 2-1. Sometimes Jim Evans, the home plate umpire, will ring up that right hand, and it's pretty much on a delayed call. Here's the 2-1 pitch on the way. Curveball pulled down the right field line, and that is hooking foul. And so the count goes to 2-2. Kansas City this year did not do what they had done in the previous, who knows how many years. They have a reputation of getting off to a slow start, which they did this year. But in the second half of the season, they always come on strong, and that did not happen this year. One of the few times Kansas City did not put on a good spurt the second half. There's a drive hit down the left field line, slicing down and giving chase, and it just goes foul. So Law will have to come back. It was only fouled by about 3 or 4 feet. To give you an example, since the All-Star break, Kansas City has played right at the 500 mark, 28-28. And within Western Division teams, they're right at the 500 mark. And those are the two categories where Kansas City has always been very, very tough. It seems like they've always beaten up the teams within the division, and they have played extremely well the second half of the season. Well, that has not been the case this year. 2-2 pitch. He is low and outside, so it's a full count now, 3-2. But don't sell them short. They still have a good ball club. Just because they start 15 and a half games behind, I think that's a little bit misleading. Here's the 3-2 pitch, and there's a soft looper just over the head of Schofield in the left field. Downing up with it, getting it back to the infield, and so the string stops at 11. Sutton retires the first 11 before giving up a base hit to Rudy Law. And so with 2 men away, that brings up Jamie Quirk. Quirk bounced out to the pitcher his only time up. So he is 0 for 1. Keep an eye on Rudy Law at first base. As we mentioned, he has 13 stolen bases. There goes Noe. The runner does not go, and the curveball is swung on a miss. Quick throw down to first base, and Rudy Law has to dive back in. A count of 0-1. Quirk batting .216, 5 home runs and 20 runs driven in. He is playing third base in place of George Pratt here this evening. Still no score. Sutton with the signs from Boone. A look to first base, and now Sutton goes over to first. On deck is Frank White. Sutton a little bit more deliberate now. Quickly goes to first base again. The way this game has been going, the way that Danny Jackson's been pitching, very similar to last night, it may not take very many runs. That is to win it. Sutton again ready. He holds, and now quickly steps off the rubber and looks the runner back. So a little cat and mouse game going on in the field right now between Sutton and Rudy Law. Down again ready. He holds and goes to first base. Now, that may be a good thing as far as Sutton is concerned, but the guys playing defense behind him, they're going to get caught on their heels. Because after a while, they're going to start to expect that Sutton's going to go to first base, and he go ahead and make the pitch, and they get caught. Here's the next pitch. Pitch out, nothing doing. Rudy Law was not going, so the count is now 1-1.
One thing Sutton is displaying, though, Ron, is a different look with each set move. He is not just doing the same thing over and over. I would imagine for Law, who hasn't seen him in a long time, it's got to be tough read.
I still think Jeff Zahn did it as well as anyone. Sutton comes set, and the curveball is popped up down the left field line. Downing giving chase, has a ways to go in foul territory, and he makes the play. So Quirk flies out to Downing to end the inning. And for Kansas City, no runs and a base hit. They leave one, and after 3.5, Kansas City nothing, Angels nothing.
In case you missed any of the Tuesday action, let's recap those for you briefly. Then we'll get to what's been happening on a Wednesday stateside. In the National League on Tuesday, Montreal defeated Chicago 4-1. It was Houston 6, Cincinnati 1. Atlanta over L.A. 3-1. Philly took Pittsburgh 9-5. New York over St. Louis 4-2, and San Francisco beat San Diego 4-1. In the American, Texas 10, Oakland 6. Boston took 2 from Milwaukee on Tuesday, 2-1 the first game, 9-3 in the nightcap. New York over Baltimore 8-1. Minnesota beat Cleveland 7-3. Toronto 6-4 over Detroit. California beat Kansas City in the first of this three-game series with the Royals 6-5. And Seattle blanked Chicago 7-0. All kinds of finals in now. Montreal has beaten Pittsburgh 6-5. And then Pittsburgh coming back in that doubleheader and whipping Montreal 4-1. Houston over Cincy 6-1. St. Louis has beaten Philly 8-5. Mets over the Cubs 4-2. Atlanta's defeated Los Angeles 4-1. We'll give you more scores a little bit later.
In the fourth inning for the Angels, it'll be DeSensei, Hendrick, and then Gritch to be facing Danny Jackson. There's still no score in the ball game. You know, Fan Appreciation Day is just around the corner, and that list of gifts that will be given away, well, it gets larger and larger. In fact, there's going to be a pickup truck, camper shell, a cab hive from Stockton Company in Irvine, a round trip for two to San Francisco from L.A. via Airtown, Bushnell binoculars from Ocean View Binoculars in Newport Beach, a two-night stay for two at the Gene Autry Hotel in Palm Springs, 2 sets of 4 passes to the Loft Stop in Santa Ana, or to the Laugh Stop, rather, in Santa Ana. And there's going to be much, much more. That's September 28th, Fan Appreciation Day, right here at the Big A. Here's the Sensei, and the first pitch is inside for ball one. He's our TMPC Security Pacific designated hitter for this game, so you want to keep track of what Doug does. Danny Jackson winds, and the 1-0 pitch is hit high and deep to right field. Back goes Law. See you later. 1-0 Angels. Ballpark in the Major League going to hold that one as the Sensei hits his 24th home run of the year, RBI number 90, and the Angels are on top.
You know, Ron, that is an unusual event when Danny Jackson is pitching, because if there's one thing he has been very good at the last couple of years, and that's limiting home runs by the opposition.
Here's George Hendrick, and the first pitch misses for ball one.
He's given up 11 this year before that one. That makes 12 now. And 7 all of last year, and that's a very low total for a starter as he is.
Yeah, you're right about that. Next pitch is over for a strike. But there wasn't any doubt about that one. Doug DeSensei, the second half of the season, has hit 14 home runs and driven in 43. Here's the 1-1 pitch. And George Hendrick jackknifing out of the way. That almost got him. He really had to hurry to get out of the way of that pitch, and the count goes to 2-1. Well, that ball went about half the way back into those red seats beyond the left field fence, between the 362 and 370 marker. That's a long way, folks, because those seats don't go up very high, but they go back far. And so when you hit one about half the way back into those seats, that's a long way. Hendrick fouls one back, and the count remains 2-2.
Speaking of that, we saw in batting practice today something that even makes DeSensei's home run look a little pale.
Well, you're talking about Bo.
That's right. Bo Jackson.
2-2 pitch to Hendrick. There's a chopper toward third. Quirk coming in. He gloves it, throws the first, not in time. Hendrick beats it out. So George Hendrick picks up his first hit of the game, and that brings up Bobby Gritch. Just a reminder. Bobby, he's 1 for 1. And the pitch by Jackson. Gritch around the butt, and he takes one right around the knees for a strike. So manager Gene Mock playing little ball here, asking Bobby Gritch to bunt Hendrick along, and that maybe Burleson or Polidor could drive in a run. Angels on top, 1-0. What Al was referring to in batting practice prior to the ball game. There's a toss to first base, and Hendrick is back. Bo Jackson hit one about 3/4 of the way back into those seats where Doug just launched one. And then he almost hit one to dead center field beyond the green tarp. It went way back there. Gritch around the butt takes this one inside to even up the count.
And anyone who's been to Anaheim Stadium and has looked out to center field and sees the green tarp covering the seats out there beyond the fence has to just marvel at the fact anyone could hit the ball that far.
I can hit one that far.
But yeah, with your golf club.
But it says Titleist on the ball.
Yeah, but you might have to pull out the driver to do it.
1 ball, 1 strike. Bobby 1 for 3 in last night's game. In fact, if you take a look at Gritchie over the last month, the last 31 ball games, he has really been hitting well. There's a toss to first base. The last 31 games, Bobby batting .310. He has 31 hits and exactly 100 at bats. So he really and truly has had a really good 31 games. There's a swing and a foul tip off of the mask of the catcher. And the count is now 1-2.
Actually, Ron, you go down the lineup. Pettis, Schofield, Downing, DeCinces, Hendrick, Rich, Boone. They've all had good second halves, and that's why the Angels have had, well, so many wins.
That's right. Well, if you just take a look at the last 20 games, for example, here's the 1-2 pitch, and it's fouled away off to our right, and it remains at 1-2. The Angels have won 16 of the last 20. Well, you've got to win 17 of 20 to gain any ground. The Angels started that last road trip with a 7.5 game lead, and they came home with a 9 game lead. They picked up a game and a half of the Rangers. Here's the next pitch by Jackson, and it's inside with a curveball. The count goes to 2-2.
Did you read Larry Parrish's quote in the paper today?
Yeah, I saw that this morning, and he says the only hope for the Texas Rangers is if the Angels have the bottom fall out on them.
That's a fairly good assessment.
2-2 pitch, foul straight back again. Count remains at 2-2.
He also added that we're going to have to win just about every game.
Yep. And that may not be enough. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Bobby. He's batting .288. And with that last base hit, he's batting .290. There's a curveball hit well to center field, but not well enough. Wilson is waiting for it. And he makes the catch, and there's out number 1.
You know, Ron, earlier in the broadcast, I started to bring up something.
If you're listening to this on any YouTube channel other than Classic Baseball on the Radio, be sure to check out the YouTube channel Classic Baseball on the Radio. This game was first posted.
About Danny Jackson, we were cut off as the inning ended. I wonder if I can get your feedback on it now. During the World Series, the Cardinals apparently were impressed with the Royal pitching staff, but of all of the starters, Saberhagen, Gubazan, Jackson, Lee Brandt, it was Danny Jackson who most impressed them. What are your thoughts on him as a pitcher?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how he's 10-10, because in watching him pitch, I've always thought he was a much better pitcher than that. There's a tailing fastball outside for ball 1 to Rick Burleson. Burley is 0 for 1. And having never hit off of him, it is tough to really make an accurate evaluation, but based upon what I've seen, he should have better numbers than what he has posted. There's one that's in the dirt, and Sundberg blocks it and then can't find it. Down to second base goes Hendrick. There for a second, Sundberg looked like the ball was in front of him, but apparently could not see it, and then all of a sudden was looking all over the place. And that allowed Hendrick to go down to second base. I'm sure they're going to charge a wild pitch.
And the ball was sitting in the batter's box in front of Rick Burleson. That was a quirk. I should say that. That was a Sundberg.
Or Sundberg. He's a third. ERA of 3.49, though, Al. That's not bad.
That's very good.
That's pretty good as far as they evaluate pitchers today. 2-0 pitch is outside, 3-0. So let's see if Burley's given the green light. He has been in a slight slump. He's has 3 hits in his last 21 at bats. Let's see if Gene Mock gives him the green light. Hendrick with the lead at second base. And the 3-0 pitch is high, ball 4. That is the first base on balls issued by Jackson. Let's pause for station identification. You're listening to the Angels Radio Network.
Pretty fast-moving game so far. We hope you're enjoying it. The Angels and the Kansas City Royals. The Angels sure want to wrap up that American West, and they may be on the way to doing it. This is the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
There's Gus Polidor standing in. Jackson looks back to second base, and the left-hander's pitch is on the inside corner for a strike. Gus bounced out to second, his only time up. Hendrick at second, Burleson at first. Angels lead at 1-0. Jackson with the signs from Sundberg. And the strike 1 pitch is on the inside corner for strike 2. And so Polidor, having a rough time pulling the trigger here, has fallen behind 0-2. Biancalana and White at double play depth near the bag at second. The strike 2 pitch is a bouncer toward third. Quirk has it to White for one. On to first base to Seitzer, and they turn the double play. So Pollider hits into a 5-4-3 double play. And for the Angels in their half of the inning, they come up with 1 run on 2 hits. A home run by Doug DeCense, his 24th of the year. A man is left. And after 4 complete here at the Big A, Angels 1, Kansas City nothing.
And if you're joining us late, Kansas City Royals visiting at the Big A at Anaheim Stadium in Anaheim, California. And, of course, our play-by-play man, Al Connon, assisted by Ron Fairley on the Angels Network out of KMPC, Los Angeles. Let's wrap up those scores for you, by the way. Texas over Oakland 4-0. Baltimore defeated the Yankees 8-3. Detroit beat Toronto 8-6. It was Cleveland 5, Minnesota 2. Boston took Milwaukee 4-1. 2 games still going on aside from ours. Bottom of the 4th, it's the White Sox and Seattle scoreless. Top of the 5th, San Diego leading San Francisco 1-0. Earlier in the National League, Montreal defeated Pittsburgh 6-5, and then Pittsburgh came back in that second game of that doubleheader, defeated Montreal 4-1. Houston took Cincinnati 6-1. St. Louis over Philadelphia 8-5. Mets took Chicago 4-2, and Atlanta beat Los Angeles 4-1. Dodgers having a terrible time this year, and the Mets, by beating Chicago, of course, have clinched the National East. Here's the way it looks in the American West right now with the Texas win over Oakland. Texas is now 8.5 games behind the Angels. Then it's Kansas City 15.5, and then you get down into the big numbers. Oakland 18, Seattle 20, Chicago 20.5. And Minnesota down in the cellar, 22. In the American East, Boston leading New York and Toronto now by 10 games as a result of the Boston win over Milwaukee, and New York and Toronto dropping respectively to Baltimore and Detroit.
Well, we have completed 4 innings of play here at the Big A. Right now, the Angels lead it by a score of 1-0. It'll be White, Seitzer, and Jackson to be facing Don Sutton, who is pitching a very strong game for the Angels. And once again, returning the microphone, here's Al Connon.
All right, Ron, the Angels with the lead. Don Sutton trying to make it stand up, and his first one to White is a fastball a little high. 1 ball, no strike. Frank popped up to short in the second inning. And he's trying to get the Royals started here in the 5th. Sutton into his windup, and the 1-0 delivery is a fastball a little high, 2-0. The only run, as you heard Ron describe, a solo home run by Doug DeCense, number 24 on the year for him, and that leads the club. He also has 90 RBIs now, and he's got a good shot at 100 before the year's over. That would be a career high for him. The 2-0 pitch to White is on the inside corner, 2-1. So the Angels on top, but this one far from over. A 1-0 lead against a good team like the Royals certainly not enough, you would think. The 2-1 pitch is outside and high, ball 3. 3-1 to Frank White. Both pitchers have been sharp tonight. Particularly Sutton has given up just 1 hit. That is single to left by Rudy Law last inning. Don goes to the windup, and it's 3-1 to Frank White. High pop fly behind second base, shallow center field. Schofield and Polidor are there, and it's Gus Polidor to make the catch. So White skies to his counterpart, second baseman Polidor, and that'll bring up Kevin Seitzer. Banjo certainly folks at Farmers Insurance have discovered that one away, and here's Seitzer. He's hitting .316 in his brief stint as a big leaguer. He has been very impressive and versatile, too. Sutton starts him, and the first pitch is a breaking ball on the inside corner for a strike, 1-1. Seitzer, we're seeing as a first baseman, but the Royals have used him at third base and in the outfield, too. At time called, Bob Boone summoned out by Sutton to have a brief conversation as they discussed strategy against Seitzer and also, undoubtedly, the sign sequence they're using here. But Seitzer's certainly a versatile athlete, and as we discussed before, he has a good compact swing, and that has been noted by both sides of the field. There's a breaking ball outside, 1-1 to him. On deck, Bo Jackson. Jim Sundberg after that. The Angels and the Royals going at it here in the 5th inning, and it's 1-0 Angels. Don Sutton cranks it up. The 1-1 delivery is just blown away, 2-1. For Sutton, this is his second start against the Royals this year. He had a no decision back in June. He's 3-3 lifetime. Seitzer takes a breaking ball a little low, make it 3-1 to him. It has been a most memorable year for Don Sutton. Won his 300th game of his career back in June. The 3-1 pitch, and it's high and away, ball 4, and Sutton issues a rare walk. In fact, his first of the game, and Bo Jackson will come up. Sutton also, with his victory over Oakland in August, completed a rare feat, having beaten every team in the major leagues now. Just a few days ago, he got his 100th strikeout of this year. That's 21 consecutive years he's done that. And what has to be so amazing about all of these accomplishments, Sutton at 41, still going strong. He has 309 career victories, and he's leading tonight. Here's Jackson, and he grounds the first pitch to short. Schofield has it, goes to second for one, on to first in the dirt, and Gritch digs it out, but doesn't get the call from first base umpire Derwood Merrill. And Gritch just throws up his arms as if to say, why not? And the answer from Merrill was pretty simple. I don't think you got him. But the force on Seitzer completed 6-4. Jackson aboard on the fielder's choice, although the Angels thought they completed the twin killing. But Bo could motor down the line. So 2 outs, and Sundberg will step in. Sutton delivers to him, and it's swung on and fouled away, 0-1. You know, with all the speed that Bo Jackson has, one day he may become a big base stealer, too. He certainly could learn the mechanics of a quicker start, and he has the raw speed to outrun most catchers' throws. So among his many potential attributes, base stealing might be one of them. Boy, it's unbelievable, all the things he can do. The strike one, Sundberg is a check swing, and he went around. Or did he? Let's double check. 1 ball, 1 strike to count to Sundberg. Plate umpire Jim Evans saying no, he did not. 2 outs, we're in the 5th. 1-0 Angels. Jackson at first base, Sundberg at the plate. And Sutton goes over and drives Jackson back. Bo Jackson, he can hit for power. He can run like the wind. It'll be interesting to see how his career goes. There's a fastball inside, 2-1. Really, the American League has been blessed with some great young talent this year. Canseco, Joyner, Incaviglia, Tartable. Some of the young pitchers have come along. Bo Jackson now added to the list. That bodes well for the future. The American League really piling up some stars, and really, I think on balance, if you compare them to the National League, they've got a better crop right now. That's just my opinion anyway. Here's the 2-1 delivery. There goes Jackson. The pitch is inside to throw to second, not nearly in time. And the ball goes on into center field. Jackson gets up and goes to third, and he makes it there easily. For Bo Jackson, that is his second stolen base as a big leaguer. And he forces an error on Boone as well. Well, there's an example of what we were talking about. He beat that play without any problem at all. He didn't do it in textbook fashion. Looked like he went in with an awkward head-first slide. But there was no doubt at all that he had made the play. So the tying run is at third base now with the count 3-1 on Sundberg. 1-0 Angels in the 5th. Sutton into the windup and the pitch. And it's low, ball 4, and that's the second walk Don has issued in the inning. And that is really rare for him. He came in with only 40 walks all year in some 30 starts, so you don't have to be a mathematician to realize he rarely walks more than 1 a game, and here he has walked 2 in an inning. And that has been the Kansas City rally in this frame. They don't have a base hit yet. Buddy Biancalana stepping in, trying to provide it. Sutton delivers, and his fastball is on the outside corner, strike 1. 2 outs, runners at the corners for the Royals. Sutton protecting a 1-0 lead. Jackson at third, Sundberg at first. The strike 1 to Biancalana is a breaking ball that's just outside. Boone holding it there for plate umpire Jim Evans, who said, nope, just missed. The total's one-sided right now. 1 run, 5 hits for the Angels. No runs, just 1 hit for the Royals. Biancalana popped up to third, his first time up, and he swings and fouls one at the plate. 1-2. Last night, Ron told you that Buddy Biancalana has just 2 home runs. Both of them came against the Angels in a series in June. One was hit off of Ron Romanek, and the other off of Don Sutton. And thus the Angels calling him the Babe Biancalana. Sutton has him 1-2. Don starts to deliver, but time called, and Biancalana backs away. Lots of room in right center for the young shortstop who's been alternating at the short patch this year with Angel Salazar. Next one is cut out, a miss, strike 3, a fastball, and Biancalana went after a bad one. It was up and in, and he couldn't lay off. So Don Sutton gets into some trouble of his own making in the 5th inning, but he extricates himself. No runs, no hits, no errors, 2 men left at the corners, and we'll head to the bottom of the 5th. Angels 1, Royals nothing.
Here's a story you may have missed on Tuesday, and we think it might be of interest enough to be worth repeating. 7 fired employees of the Los Angeles Dodgers and 2 of their girlfriends have been charged with embezzling more than $332,000 from the Dodgers between 1983 and 1985. The district attorney's office in Los Angeles says that former payroll clerk Edward Campos conspired with the other employees to credit them for hours that they didn't work. 5 of those workers were security guards. The 7th is also a clerk for the Dodgers, or was, certainly no longer now. Campos, who worked for the Dodgers for 18 years, is also accused of padding payroll checks and adding the names of 2 girlfriends and also some fictitious names to the Dodger payroll. Prosecutors say that Campos got about a 50% kickback on the paychecks, and this alleged embezzlement was uncovered by an employee who took over Campos's duties when he became ill in June of last year. None of the former Dodger employees fired because of this alleged scheme were players. We emphasize that. So again, some $332,000 allegedly embezzled from the Dodgers between 1983 and 1985. Well, the American League batting race heating up considerably on Tuesday. Wade Boggs was the leader, 351. Don Mattingly right behind him at 348. They both did nicely on Tuesday. Mattingly a little better. Now it's Boggs 352, Mattingly 350.
Welcome back to Anaheim Stadium. I'm Al Connon with Ron Fairley and Dick Nelson. Nice to have you with us as this series with the Royals continues. Angels leading at 1-0 on Doug DeCince's 4th inning home run. And speaking of home runs, with this being the home half of the 5th, it's time to play the Chevy home run contest. Bob Boone stepping in to begin things. Jackson delivers to him, and a breaking ball is swung on a miss, going 1. In the jackpot tonight, $300, and our contestant, Susan Kintz of Upland. Jackson right back to the plate, and the 0-1 to Boone is on the inside corner, make it 0-2. Boone, of course, the hero last night, and he could become a hero tonight to Susan Kintz with a home run here. Jackson strike 2 pitch is a fastball outside, 1-2. If an Angels would hit a grand slam in this inning, Susan would win either her choice of a 1986 Chevy Nova or S10 pickup. The 1-2 to Bob Boone is a line drive at second baseman Frank Wide, who takes a step or 2 to his left and makes the catch. So Boone hits it on the button but is retired, and that'll bring up Gary Pettis, who has grounded to second and bunted successfully toward third. So 1 down, and Gary stepping in. We're in the Chevy home run inning. $300 in the jackpot for Susan Kintz of Upland. Gary Pettis taking his turn. He's hit in 10 of his last 12 ball games, so he's been swinging well. In fact, he's up close to 340 during September. There's a fastball high to him, 1-0. He's had a good last month. Schofield has. So has Downing, obviously DeCince. The Angels collectively have been playing very well. Jackson's next pitch is cut on a miss, 1-1. Gary up there right-handed, and as you know, from this side of the plate, he generally does better than from the other. He's hitting .280 as a right-hand batter, .252 from the left side. The 1-1 delivery, and it's down low to him. 2 balls and a strike. Bottom of the 5th inning here at the Big A. The Angels enjoying a 1-0 lead. They won last night, trying to win tonight. Fastball is outside to Pettis, and the count 3-1. And Jackson certainly does not want to walk him if he can avoid it. Bo Jackson stole a base in the top of the inning. Gary Pettis would be a good candidate to do the same should he get aboard in the bottom of the inning. The pitch to Gary is swung on a miss. Good slider in on the hand. 3-2. Danny Jackson out of the University of Oklahoma. Only 24. And he figures to be a mainstay for the Royals for some years to come yet. He cranks it up once more. The 3-2 to Pettis is a fly ball lifted down the right field line. That'll slice, though, and drift back into the crowd. So it's still full to Pettis, 3-2. One out, bottom of the fifth, 1-0 Angels. Halos facing another left-hander, Lee Brandt last night. Jackson tonight. They're 22-21 against lefties this year. Pettis swings over the top of a breaking ball and strikes out. And that's only the second K for Jackson in the game, and that'll set the stage for Schofield, who has 1 hit and 2 trips tonight. The Angels, while they are 1 game over 500 against lefties, as we have told you from time to time, since June 1st, they have turned things around against lefties. They're 19-9. The pitch to Schofield inside, make it 1-0. Of course, everything's been going well for them. They've won the close ones. They've come from behind. They've gotten great pitching. They've gotten the long ball. There's a ground ball to the hole. That's short and through into left field. Schofield 2 for 3. Woody Law up to get the ball, brings it back in. So the Angels now with 6 hits against Jackson, although this one comes with 2 outs. And Brian Downing will get a chance to swing. And he's 0 for 2, fouling the first in the opening inning, striking out looking to end the third. But you know, the Angels, 23 games over 500 right now. They have a chance to do something no other Angel club has done. There's a fastball outside. Check that inside to Downing, 1-0. And that something is win more than 93 games. They can get up there even beyond 95 if they stay hot. The 1-0 pitch, and it's down low, 2-0. The magic number for the Angels, of course, is 10. They'd like to drop it to 9, but for Gene Moss, the magic number is different. His magic number is 7. He wants them to win 90 games, and they're 7 away from doing that. Jackson's 2-0 to Downing, finds the inside edge, 2-1. Of course, you've heard Gene's explanation for why he feels that's important. He just doesn't see the Rangers or any other team reaching that plateau, other than the Angels. So if they get there, he feels they're home free. Schofield drives a throw over to first base, and you can understand what Jackson's thinking about. While Pettis gets all the headlines as far as the base stealing is concerned on the Angels, Schofield can steal his share too. He has 22. Only been caught about 4 times this year. Downing lets one go by inside, 3-1. 1-0 Angels, bottom of the fifth. 2 outs, Schofield at first. Brian Downing at the plate, trying to find a way to break through on Danny Jackson. The next pitch is high, ball 4, and the Angels have something building here in the 5th inning. With 2 outs, Schofield has singled to left, Downing has walked. And now here's the Sensei, who has already homered in the ballgame to establish the 1-0 lead.
Now just a quick math, a little bit of math work here. If the Angels win 7 more games for Texas to tie the Angels, the Rangers have to win 14 of the last 16.
And 7 games with 19 to play doesn't seem like that tough of an assignment. The pitch to the Sensei is way high, 1-0. Well, with each passing day, the calendar is working against the Rangers, and Ron's illustration there with the number certainly showing you why. 2 on, 2 out to Sensei White. The 1-0 from Jackson is low and inside, make it 2-0. Danny has already been stung by the long ball off the bat of DeCinces, and he is pitching cautiously, only to fall behind. At time called, his catcher, Jim Sundberg, comes out to the mound to have a visit with him. In the bullpen in left field for the Royals, there is some activity. We can't quite discern who it is, but we can see the ball flying around out there. And Sundberg comes back behind the dish. In the inning, Boone lined out to second. Pettis then struck out, but Schofield singles through the hole on the left side. Downing walks, and now it's DeCinces with the count his way, 2-0. The pitch from Jackson is way high and outside. Ball 3, and it looked like he reached back for something extra there. Let him hit. Why not? He's the one man in your lineup, one of the couple who could break the game open with one swing. Jackson ready to pitch, but DeCinces is not ready to hit until time called, just as Jackson was about to unleash it. 1-0 Angels, bottom of the fifth. We're in the Chevy home run contest. And DeCinces with that home run potential. Schofield at second, Downing at first, 1-0 Angels. The 3-0 is on the inside corner, 3-1. So they may have given DeCinces the green light, but the pitch was not to his liking. It'd be hard to tell whether or not he was, because it was a tough pitch to handle. The 3-1 is a check swing, and that's going to cost him strike two. Doug started to move toward first base. But first base umpire Derwin Merrill, who's already drawn the ire of the Angels from a call last inning, doesn't make DeCinces too happy as he brings up the right hand, and it's 3-2.
I think Doug would just soon hit anyway. A base on balls doesn't do anything for you.
As we mentioned, after his home run, he has 90 RBIs, 7 shy of his career best, 10 shy of the century mark, a plateau he has never reached. The 3-2, there go the runners, and it's foul tip into Sundberg's glove, strike 3, and DeCinces is going to argue. He's going to argue that the ball missed the bat. He was on his way to first base, but plate umpire Jim Evans says, no, it hit the bat, you're out, and the inning is over. So while DeCinces argues, we can tell you we didn't have a winner in our Chevy home run contest, and our jackpot increases tomorrow to $325. And there'll always be that chance for the big prize, a new Chevy Nova or S10 pickup, if an Angel hits a grand slam. So here in the fifth for the Angels, no runs, 1 hit, no errors. They leave 2, and we'll head to the 6th inning. Still, Angels 1, and the Royals nothing.
And if you're joining us late, this is, of course, the Royals visiting the Angels at Anaheim. Danny Jackson starting for the Royals, still pitching with a 10-10 record. And Don Sutton, the starter for the Angels, and he is still doing his thing, 14-9 on the season. And in case you didn't hear the news, the Mets, pretty well certifying what most of us had concluded some time back, have clinched the National East Division with a 4-2 victory over the Chicago Cubs. Dwight Gooden pitching a 6-hitter. Dave Magadan went 3 for 4, giving the Mets 95 victories, more than the second-place Phillies could achieve, even by winning the rest of their games. There was a crowd of 47,823 cheering under a full moon. Gooden raised his record to 15-6. Dennis Eckersley took the loss. Dennis now 6-10 on the year. And the Mets finally wrapped up a title they could have really formalized some 5 days ago when they started that series with the Phillies. Magadan, a late replacement for first baseman Keith Hernandez, is down with a virus, produced his first Major League RBI with 3rd and 5th inning singles. Gooden lacking his best stuff in this game, but he struck out 7, walked 4, and this is Dwight's 11th complete game of the season. The enthusiasm of the fans began building with 9 outs to go, reached a crescendo with 1 out to go, and the fans begin chanting, "We're number one, we're number one," and so they are. Gooden struck out when he struck out 8, by the way. He retired Chico Walker for the last out. The crowd just went into a frenzy. Many of them had gone onto the field already in fair territory before the final out, and some 5,000 people were on the field as soon as second baseman Wally Backman threw to first baseman Keith Hernandez for the final out. And that was it. No other National League East team has ever clinched the title that early. We'll tell you more about that at our next break. Let's get back.
Here in the 6th inning, Willie Wilson leading it off against Sutton, 1-0 Angels. Wilson already up there with the count 1-1. Sutton kicks and delivers again, and it's popped up right around second base. Shortstop Dick Schofield calling for it, and he makes the catch. So just like that, a man is gone, and that'll bring up Lonnie Smith, who has flied to center and popped to second. Farmer John. Lonnie Smith has been smoking the baseball. As we mentioned, 11 consecutive games in which he's hit. He takes a fastball high, 1-0. In fact, he is making a run at the 300 mark. Nothing new for Lonnie Smith. Well, in the National League, he had several 300 years. In fact, his lifetime average in the senior circuit, close to 300. He swings and foul tips one into Boone's glove, 1-1. And you look back on Lonnie Smith's track record. .339 average at Philadelphia in 1980, .324 in 81. Only hit .257 last year with Kansas City, but much better than that this year, and it appears he's made the adjustment to the new league. The 1-1 pitch is a fastball high, 2-1. Ron, we had the bottom of the fifth inning end on an unusual note, a foul tip call by plate umpire Jim Evans for strike 3 to end the inning, and DeCince argued vehemently, and you would think he would know if there had been a foul tip. The pitch to Smith is pulled down the left field line foul. So it's even now 2-2, and it just seemed to me that was unusual. Your thoughts on the way that inning ended?
Well, normally if that ball hits the bat ever so slightly, you're going to feel it. The only thing I'm going on, I took a look at the replay, and Sundberg, the catcher, never hesitated. He just went flat on off toward the dugout. So apparently the ball did hit the bat, or at least Sundberg thought so too.
Here's the 2-2 on the way to Lonnie Smith. And it's strike 3 called. Big bending curve, and Sutton got it in there. 3 strikeouts for him. Of course, you can look at it another way, too, Ron. If you're the catcher and you hear strike 3, get out of there. Don't wait to argue about it. But I think your point's well taken. Sundberg, at least you would have thought, might have hesitated, and he didn't.
And there are times when that ball hits the glove in just a certain way that it may sound like there's a little tick up there.
Here's Rudy Law with 2 outs, and the pitch to him is away. 1 ball, no strikes. Rudy, a left-hand swinger. The totals in the ball game, while they are tipped the Angels' way, not overpoweringly so. Law hits a pop fly into shallow right center field. Pettis, Hendrick, and Polidor all there, and it's Gary Pettis to put the squeeze on it. So in the 6th inning, Don Sutton continues to roll. He's only allowed 1 hit. That was to Law back in the 4th. And we'll head to the bottom of the 6th. Angels 1, Kansas City nothing.
We have a little bit of confusion surrounding that Mets-Cubs game. We said that Dave Magadan replaced Keith Hernandez, who was supposed to be down with a virus, but then our copy said that Wally Backman threw to first baseman Keith Hernandez for the final out. So we're not quite sure if Keith was in that game or not. I'm sure he wanted to be for clinching the division. We'll see if we can check up on that and find out what was going on. We did mention that no other National League East team has ever clinched the title this early in the season. The 1972 Pirates wrapped it up on the 21st of September. They needed only 144 games, though, opposed to New York's 145. And with their 3rd division title, the Mets earned the right, of course, to oppose the West Division champions in the National League playoffs. And we can assume that those will probably be the Astros. Larry King had a little comment the other night, Larry King on Mutual. He said it'll probably be harder for the Mets to get past the Astros than it would be for them to win the World Series. The really big obstacle is getting the pennant in the National League. And after that, it might just be anticlimactic. So we'll wait and see. The Astros could very well wind up taking the National. Dwight Gooden, as we mentioned, was the winning pitcher. It was kind of chilly in New York as we get into early fall. Or late summer, really, I still officially, but early fall. And Gooden was, they found him blowing on his hand a little bit to kind of warm it up. But he contended with base runners in almost every inning, but did win the game, and that's what's important.
Bottom of the 6th inning at Anaheim Stadium. Good crowd on hand, good ball game to go with it. 1-0, the Angels lead. That home run by DeCince back in the 4th inning, still looming is the difference. Danny Jackson towing the rubber. He'll go to work against George Hendrick, who is 1 for 2. Jackson cranks it up and delivers, and his first pitch of this inning is over for a strike called on 1. The Angels trying to take yet another step toward that Western Division championship. The 0-1 pitch, and Hendrick waves at the breeze and doesn't get it, 0-2. And without question, they have their fate in their own hands now. Jackson right back 0-2, and Hendrick takes it away, 1-2. As we mentioned, the home run, the big story tonight, that has been the only scoring blow of the game. And it would figure that a home run would be prominent on this date, September 17th. The 1-2 pitch is a line drive into right field, but Bo Jackson has a beat on it, and he comes on and makes the play. Before we tell you about the home run ball and this date in history, let's pause for station identification. This is the Angels Radio Network.
Got a good game going, and hope you're enjoying it around the world, wherever you happen to be listening, and you are listening to it right here on the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Bobby Gritch stepping in here in the 6th inning. 1-0 Angels as Jackson misses outside. 1-0. The Brewers of Anaheim. Gritch takes one on the outside corner to even things at 1-1. Burleson on deck. Polidor hoping for a chance in the hole. 1-0 Angels in the 6th. Jackson kicks and comes right back to Bobby in the dirt. And Sundberg knocks it down. 2-1 to Gritch. As we were saying before the station break there, this date in baseball history figures very prominently for one individual in particular with reference to the home run ball. That man not in the lineup tonight for the Angels, but here nonetheless, Reggie Jackson. Fastball is high to Gritch 3-1. Because on this date, September 17th, 1984, Reggie Jackson hit his 500th career homer. Gritch waves at the breeze and doesn't get it, 3-2. He hit it against the Royals. Bud Black was on the mound that day. And what made it such a special touch was that it was also on this date, 17 years before, that Reggie Jackson hit his first career home run. And he also did it here at the Big A. Gritch hits a line drive into left field, but Rudy Law goes back a step or two, then puts on the brakes and makes the catch. And Gritch is retired for out number 2, and that'll bring up Burleson. So Reggie, who has always had a flair for the dramatic, certainly put it all together. September 17th, he hit his first home run at the Big A, and he hit his 500th home run on the same date 17 years later. Pitch to Burley is a fastball for a strike, 0-1. Jackson right back to the plate, and Burleson swings and misses, 0-2. Got one. 1-0. The Angels leading. Jackson to the plate, and Burleson takes just inside, 1-2. You know, speaking of Reggie and the flair for the dramatic, I have a feeling he'll be hitting some dramatic home runs before this campaign is over. The 1-2 pitch is grounded foul. Third base way. Still 1-2. Danny Jackson into the windup, and the 1-2 to Burleson is popped up foul below us here in the press area. So Burleson's still alive. Ron told you earlier that though he's hitting around 285, he's been fighting a slump lately. He's now 3 for his last 21. His next pitch is high, so 2-2. But that gives you a good indication of how it's gone for Burleson. He's come down to 285, 286. And if he warms up again, he'll go back up near that 300 level. He's never hit over 300 in his career. The 2-2 pitch is high and tight, and it spins him out of there. So the count full. 2 down, bases empty, bottom of the 6th, 1-0 Angels. As long as things stand the way they do, we'll be referring back to that 4th inning when Doug DeCinces provided the difference with a solo home run, his 24th of the year. Burleson pulls it foul, third base side, and that kangaroos into the stands and then skips back a few rows. 3-2 it remains. Outfield giving Burleson lots of room in left center. The infield pretty much straight away. Danny Jackson nodding yes to Sundberg. Here's the full count offering. Ground ball hit on a big hop towards short. Biancalana waiting for it. Guns over to Seitzer in time, and the inning is over for the Angels. So Jackson's still pitching well. He gets the side in order in the 6th. We'll go to the 7th when Ron returns with the score. Angels 1, Royals nothing.
Now this ABC News Brief. We have a new Supreme Court Chief Justice. Senator Paul Tribble announced the Senate's vote.
On this vote, there are 65 yeas and 33 nays. The nomination of William Rehnquist to be Chief Justice of the United States is confirmed.
The Senate also has confirmed Antonin Scalia to take the seat being vacated by Rehnquist. That vote was 98-0. The Mets have become the first team to clinch a spot in the Major League playoffs. They beat the Cubs tonight in New York 4-2. 25 Soviet UN diplomats are being kicked out of the U.S. by the Reagan administration. They've got 2 weeks to get out, and U.S. officials deny that this action has anything to do with the Soviet detention of U.S. reporter Nicholas Danilov. No claims of responsibility yet for the latest bombing in Paris. A bomb today killed 5 people and injured more than 50 others. The same terrorists who say they've planted 5 bombs in the French capital in 10 days say that they're going to start staging attacks in the U.S. From ABC News, I'm Marcia Salter.
Little football news. The Philadelphia Eagles earlier this week have released running back Ernest Jackson. He'd run for 1,028 yards last season, but apparently didn't impress his new coach, Buddy Ryan, former defensive coordinator, of course, of the Bears. Jackson was picked up by the Eagles from the Chargers for 2 draft picks in September of last year. He was Philadelphia's leading rusher last season, but Ryan and Jackson apparently didn't take to each other. Ryan criticized his blocking, his running, his pass-catching abilities. Well, there wasn't much left else to criticize, so Jackson is gone from the Eagles.
6 innings have been played tonight here at Anaheim Stadium. Don Sutton and Danny Jackson putting on a pitching clinic. And right now the Angels with the best of it, leading 1-0. The only mistake, a fastball to DeCinces in the 4th inning, and Doug turned it around and sent it deep over the left field fence to provide the scoring. Sutton, meanwhile, has allowed just 1 base hit. That is single by Rudy Law back in the 4th inning. And he goes to work now in the 7th against Jamie Quirk. And going to work again for us. Take you along with the play-by-play. Here's Ron.
Thank you very much. I guess that's my lead. I got to hold it, right?
That's right. Well, you provided the lead. The least you can do is hold on to it now.
Here's the first pitch to Quirk, and it's a curveball high and outside, ball 1. Quirk is 0 for 2 in the game. He's bounced out to the pitcher and fired out to left field. Left-hand hitter. Well, now and then you have to win something 1-0 and 2-1. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and it's just outside. The count is 2-0.
I feel a little bit for Bob Rowe and his highlight package, though.
He's going to be it's going to be 1 shot.
It'll be short. And Bob, if you're listening, stretch it out the best you can.
Yeah, make it live.
Make it live.
Here's the 2-0 pitch. And it's looped towards center field. Could be trouble. Pettis coming on. And he's going to have to let it fall for a base hit. So Quirk starts things here in the 7th inning with a blooper to center field. He's now 1 for 3. And that'll bring up the second baseman, Frank White.
Second baseman, Frank White.
White this evening has popped up to short and popped up to second base. Sutton started the game by retiring the first 11. And then he set down 13 of 14 before getting up a base on ball. Here's a pitch to White, and it's just outside, ball 1. You have to be careful with Frank White. When he started his career, it was really not a home run hitter. However, in the last 2 years, he started playing long ball. He has hit 19 home runs this year and driven in 79. There's a shot that is fouled down the left field line, and that evens up the count. And that's exactly what I mean right there. White had that big end of the bat out in front, and he hit it hard, but he pulled it foul. Take a look at the last 2 years about White and the home run. There's one. There's a big bouncer to Gritch at first. He goes to second for the force out, and they do not return the throw, and so credit Bobby Gritch with a good play. As White bounces one to Bobby at first base, and he forces Quirk at second. That is 3-6 in the putout. And that brings up Kevin Seitzer. But just to give you an idea, last year, White hit 22 home runs. That is a career high for him, and he's hit 19 this year. And the RBIs by White, 79, that's a career high. So he's having another good year. Here's Kevin Seitzer, the first baseman standing in. Kevin 0 for 1. He is lined out to short and then walked. So he is 0 for 1. Sutton stepping off the rubber. Seitzer is hit in 7 of the 10 major league games in which he's played. Really does not have a position as of yet. Here's the first pitch, and it's a curveball outside for ball 1. Not that he can't play, and not that he's a bad defensive player. It's just that right now, in the scheme of things, he really does not have a set position to play. And there's a chance that maybe he'll be the left fielder next year. Or maybe he'll play a little bit of first base, depending on how Steve Balboni comes. There's pitches outside, and the count is now 2-0. Balboni hurt, by the way. Along with George Brett. You take those 2 guys out of the lineup, and that's their home run and RBI men. And this team does not have anywhere near the intimidation factor that it has with those 2 guys in it. 2-0 pitch is swung on and popped up off of first base. Gritch over near the dugout is waiting for it, and the ball goes just out of reach. It goes into the first row. And so the count is now 2-1. On deck is Bo Jackson. Angels lead it 1-0. The difference in the ball game, Doug DeCense's home run. DeCense has 24 home runs on the year. That's tops in the team. Sutton staring down at Boone. There goes the runner. The pitch is swung on and hit into right field. Giving ground is Hendricks. He's there, and he makes the catch, and White has to go back to first base. And so they had the hit and run on. And Seitzer flies out to right field. That's out number 2. And that brings up the right fielder, Bo Jackson. Now, you recall last night, just about this time of the game, actually last night it was in the 8th inning, and right now it's in the 7th inning, but Jackson with a 2-run homer to right field to tie the game at 5. And then the Angels came right back and they won it when Boone singled into right field to drive in Devon White. So here he is, nothing but power standing in. And the first pitch is low and outside, ball 1. Jackson is batting .313, 2 home runs, 4 runs driven in. He has hit in 6 of the 8 major league games that he has played in. And there is not a point in any ballpark that he can't hit it out of. The 1-0 pitch, and Sutton starting to make the pitch, slipped to the mound and stopped, and that's a ball. He started to make a pitch and then slipped. And now the tying run is in scoring position. But as you think it through just for a second, that is a very smart move by Don Sutton, because he was in the middle of his windup and something slipped, and he had enough agility in his mind to stop, because if he throws the pitch to Jackson and makes a bad pitch, Jackson can hit one out of here. And so Sutton stopping, and now all he has to do, hopefully, is get Jackson out. But he did not want to make that one bad pitch if he had slipped out there in the mound. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and it's blowing. No, it's blowing inside. Once again, it looked like Jim Evans is going to ring up a strike, and the count is now 2-0. I have seen pitchers on the mound slip and end up throwing it right down the middle of the plate and have it cost him some runs. Sutton at the belt, and the 2-0 pitch. He is swung on and missed for a strike, a fastball right in on the letters. And the count is 2-1. Sutton has struck out 3 in the game. He has 111 on the year. White with the lead at second base. Sutton checking him. And the 2-1 pitch is a curveball, swung on and missed, strike 2. And that evens up the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now Jackson stepping out, having a quick clubhouse meeting with himself. And now Bo stepping right back in. He does have holes. He is just a young man, as you well know. But within time, those holes will get smaller and smaller. Here's the 2-2 pitch. And it's a curveball low and outside. Full count now, 3-2. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Jackson stepping out and going through that same thing again. Sutton staring down. Boone flashing the signs. Jackson is struck out since coming up. We'll give you that here in just a second. He has struck out 9 times in 30 at-bats. Sutton now with the signs. And the 3-2 pitch is high and inside. He walked him. And down to first base goes Jackson. That is the third base on balls. Issued by Sutton and Sundberg. The next scheduled hitter has been called back. And let's see who Mike Ferraro goes to here. You have a guy sitting on the bench that wears number 5, and if you know who I'm talking about, if you're familiar with Kansas City, that's George Brett. But it's going to be number 3, George Orta, coming out. And so it will be Orta batting in place of Jim Sundberg.
Batting for Sundberg, number 3, George Orta.
Orta, a .283 hitter on the year. He has hit 8 home runs and driven in 44. And he will be batting for Sundberg. The only score in the game came back in the 4th inning when Doug DeCinces hit a home run. That's been it so far. Kansas City has runners at first and second. Well, Bo Jackson and his Kansas City Royal teammates conclude their series with the Angels tomorrow night. And then it's Chicago, Cleveland, and then the Texas Rangers, all visiting right here at the Big A during that crucial final homestand. So don't forget to do your ticket shopping for those games coming up. First pitch is a curveball over for a strike. Also, we'd like to remind you that the Indians play a twilight doubleheader Monday starting at 5:35 right here at the Big A. That's to make up for that rainout game on this recent road trip in Cleveland. Here's the 0-1 pitch on the way. And it's a curveball hit between first and second. Polidor up with it, and he goes to Gritch in time. And so the defense plays well against Sutton here in the inning as Polidor comes up with a big play. And for Kansas City, no runs and a base hit. They leave 2. They've stranded 5. And after 6.5, it remains Angels on top, 1-0.
All the other games going on. The White Sox leading Seattle 2-0. They're in the top of the 7th. And in the National League, it's San Francisco leading San Diego 4-2. They're in the bottom of the 7th. The Mets, of course, have clinched the National East. Finally, at long last, they were supposed to do it Friday, but better late than never by beating the Cubs 4-2. This division title is the 3rd in Mets history. You'll remember back in that historic year of 1969, the amazing Mets, in what may be the most amazing upset of all time in baseball, won the National League East, beat the Braves in the playoffs, finished off the Baltimore Orioles in the World Series, and that after a disastrous year in 1968. What a turnaround. In 1973, the Mets won the National East with an 82-79 record. That is the worst first-place finish in the history of divisional play. They defeated the Cincinnati Reds for the National League pennant and then lost the World Series to the Oakland A's. A hard-fought series, went the full 7 games. New York entered the league as an expansion club back some 24 years ago in 1962, and that year they compiled a very unenviable record, 40 wins, 120 losses. The worst mark, the worst in modern Major League history. The amazing Mets. Remember Marv Throneberry. Let's get back.
One defensive change for the Kansas City Royals. Now behind the plate, Terry Bell will be doing the catching. He takes over for Sundberg. As we look around the infield and the outfield, no changes there as Danny Jackson goes back for another inning of work. He'll be facing Gus Polidor, followed by Bob Boone and then Gary Pettis. Angels lead it by a score of 1-0. As we mentioned to you, the Texas Rangers won this afternoon up in the Bay Area. In fact, they sweep that series against Oakland. They won on a shutout 4-0 over Oakland. Correa and Williams combined for the shutout. Baltimore defeated the Yankees. Mattingly extended his hitting streak to 17 games, with Baltimore winning it. Sheets and Dempsey with home runs. And the first pitch to Polidor is outside for ball 1. Baltimore snapping a 5-game losing streak. Boston 4-1 over Milwaukee. It was the Cleveland Indians 5-2 over the Minnesota Twins. Detroit 8-6 over Toronto. Next pitch misses for ball 2. And one other game in the American League still going on. Chicago at Seattle, no score after 6 innings of play. In the National League, in the first of 2 games, Montreal 6-5 over Pittsburgh. Polidor takes one right around the letters for a strike. And then Pittsburgh came back and won the nightcap 4-1. They split that doubleheader. Houston 6-1 over Cincinnati. It was New York 4-2 over Chicago. The Mets clinch the National League East. Here's the 2-1 pitch by the left-hander. It is hit high in the air and struck well into right center field. Over and waiting for it is Wilson, and he makes the catch. And there's out number 1.
Excuse me, any big surprise that the Mets clinched behind Dwight Gooden?
No. He has beaten the Cubbies 8 straight times. I know that. There's one over for Bob Boone. The count is 0-1. Let's round out the scoreboard very quickly for you. St. Louis 8-5 over Philadelphia. Atlanta 4-1 over the Dodgers. They lose their 5th straight. And then in San Diego, it is San Francisco 4-2 over the Padres. That's after 7.5. Gladden and Gwynn have hit home runs. There's a bouncer back up over the mound, backhanded by White, who goes to first base in time. And what a play by the second baseman, Frank White. An outstanding play just to nab Boone by about a half a stride. A chopper back up over the mound, in which White had to backhand and then jump in the air, spun, and then threw accurately to Kevin Seitzer at first base.
And he didn't just get anybody.
No.
He got a man who scored from second base on a sacrifice fly.
That's right.
Flash Boone.
So 2 men are gone, and that brings up Gary Pettis. You know, I forgot to ask Booney about that on the pregame. There's a curveball high for ball 1.
He took a lot of ribbing, needless to say.
Well, I should have given him a chance. How often do you score from second base on a fly ball to the outfield? 1-0 pitch is fouled back out of play, and the count is now 1-1 to Gary.
I bet that's the first time in his career. I would venture to bet. I don't like to gamble too much.
Pettis on the evening, 1 for 3. He is hit in 10 of the last 12 games. Here's the 1-1 pitch. And Pettis bounces one toward shortstop. Biancalana goes to the first baseman, Seitzer, and that'll do it for the Angels. A 1-2-3 inning. That's 7 in a row, by the way, shut down by Danny Jackson. That's correct. That is 7 in a row. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. Angels have stranded 6, and after 7 complete innings of play, Angels 1, Kansas City nothing.
Lots of good college football matchups coming up this weekend, this Saturday, and one of the more interesting ones, Alabama and Florida. Alabama number 4 on both the UPI and AP polls. Florida number 13 on the AP poll, not on the UPI poll, not because Florida doesn't have a good team, but because the UPI rules with the Board of Coaches voting say that no team under probation can appear in the UPI rankings. But Florida, you know, would be somewhere in there, 12, 13, 14. Florida coach Galen Hall's main priority for his game against number 4 Alabama Saturday is, he says, giving standout quarterback Kerwin Bell some time to throw. You may remember that Bell was sacked 6 times in Florida's loss to Miami 2 weeks ago. 23-15 was that score. Hall says we're looking at several things to get Kerwin some more time. We've tried some quick passes this week in practice, so he doesn't have to take a long drop. And we've worked some on the shotgun formation. We've got to be able to get the ball downfield and keep Kerwin off the ground. Coach Hall says the Gators used their week off to put the Miami loss behind them, concentrate on preparing for Alabama this weekend, Florida's first Southeastern Conference opponent of the season. Hall says it was tough to lose to Miami, especially at home, but that game is behind us now. We've still got a tough schedule ahead of us. And, of course, the first game on that very tough schedule is this week against Alabama.
We go to the 8th inning, and batting for Buddy Biancalana will be Hal McRae, and he'll be facing Don Sutton, who right now is leading by a score of 1-0. And to tell you more about that, here's Al Cotton.
All right, Ron, the Angels indeed enjoying that 1-0 lead. Sutton going to work against McRae. Al McRae stepping in, hitting .260 with 6 home runs and 36 runs batted in. So he's up there in place of Biancalana. Sutton working on a 2-hitter. He's already posted 1 2-hitter this year. That was against the White Sox at Comiskey Park when he threw his 58th career shutout as well. There's a fastball that misses 1-0. In fact, if Sutton throws a shutout tonight, and that's still a possibility, he would move past Ed Walsh into 9th place all by himself on the all-time list of pitchers who have thrown shutouts in this game. There's one fouled away by McRae, 1-1. Of course, the big leader, Walter Johnson, the big train, 113. Still seems incredible. Grover Cleveland Alexander second with 90. Christy Mathewson third with 83. Cy Young only had 77.
Then we talk about all those records and the things that would have a rough time breaking. That might be one right there, 113 career shutouts.
Boy, that does seem unassailable. There's a pitch in there for a strike, 1-2 to McRae. Well, then you got Eddie Plank at 70. Warren Spahn was 63, along with Mordecai Brown. Tom Seaver at 61, and then Sutton at 58. The 1-2 pitch is fouled back through the screen, and it's 1-2.
I mean, you have guys like Tom Seaver and Sutton and and Calden and Nolan Ryan and guys like that, if they can only seem to have 55 or 60 somewhere in that category, what kind of a pitcher are you to have 113?
You're in a higher
you're
league.
Walter Johnson.
Yeah, you're Walter Johnson. That's who you are. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The count to McRae. Sutton to the windup and the pitch, and his curveball misses low, 2-2. Well, it's been quite a night for Don. The only base hits, Law with a single in the 4th, Quirk with a single in the 7th. So just a 2-hitter. That's all. Sutton at 41, making it look easy. The 2-2 pitch to McRae is a high drive to deep left field. Downing looking up, but this ball is gone. Hal McRae with a pinch hit home run, and we're tied 1-1 here in the A. I think we might have jinxed on talking about the shutout and the 2-hitter, and it all changes on one swing. So we're locked up in a tie. Willie Wilson will step in, and before he does, let's pause for station identification. This is the Angels Radio Network.
This is the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
So Don Sutton gives up a home run to McRae, and he's going to come out of the ballgame. Marcel Latchman has gone to the mound, and Sutton, who was working on a shutout, pitches 7 very strong innings, and in the 8th he makes a mistake, and he'll leave. He'll leave throwing a 3-hitter, giving up just 1 run. He obviously has reached the magic plateau of pitches. Ron's checking on that now, and he will give way to Doug Corbett. Right-hander Doug Corbett coming on. He'll take over for Sutton. Angels baseball coming to you from Anaheim Stadium with the score now. Angels 1 and the Royals 1.
Well, they're still dancing in the streets in New York. By the way, Marty Bondaroff on his motor scooter heading up Hollywood Boulevard now and enjoying himself. He's the Duke of Hollywood Boulevard and Vine. Yes, he is. He was a little timid when he came from the jungles of the Mideast somewhere or another. But once he got used to things around in Hollywood, he is called Hollywood Marty now. Anyway, I'll be sitting in the rest of the way, and perhaps we'll have an extra inning ball game. Thousands of people at Shea Stadium swarmed into the field after the New York Mets clinched the National League East Division title on Wednesday with a 4-2 victory over the Chicago Cubs, and their celebration caused a lot of damage. Chunks of turf were torn out of the infield and thrown into the stands, and there were other scars from the celebration in the outfield grass. During the game, taped video messages were shown to the fans as General Manager Frank Cashin, Manager Davey Johnson, and broadcaster Bob Murphy pleaded for an orderly celebration. Nevertheless, fans started pouring into the field even before second baseman Wally Backman fielded the game's last grounder. Fans celebrated on the field for about 20 minutes after the game ended. 50 minutes after it ended, the grounds crew was at work trying to get the field ready for Thursday afternoon's game. So they're still celebrating, and the Mets finally clinched it. Everybody knew that ever since the All-Star break, even before that they would eventually do just that.
Corbett taking over now for Don Sutton, who pitches a gem. 7 innings plus 1 batter. He throws 3-hit baseball, but he leaves tied 1-1. And here's Willie Wilson against Corbett, and the first one is outside 1-0. You come to the ballpark as a pitcher and allow just 3 hits in a run, and you figure to win. But Danny Jackson has been equally tough, and so Sutton will not figure tonight. Corbett delivers to Wilson, and he's outside with it. So the count goes to 2-0. A 1-1 tie here in the 8th. Sutton making his second bid for win number 15, and he pitched well enough to get it, but apparently it wasn't to be. Wilson pulls one foul, past first and down the line, so the count 2-1 to him. He's 0 for 3 tonight. We've told you that Sutton basically works on a 100-pitch limit, and tonight in 7 innings plus 1 batter, he pitches outstanding baseball and throws exactly 100 pitches. And so they lift him with the ball game tight. The 2-1 to Smith is Luke Fowle off of third and out of play. 2-2. Did I say Smith? It's Willie Wilson. Smith on deck. So Doug Corbett is out there now trying to get himself squared away. Overall, his numbers look pretty good. He's 3-2, an ERA of 3.78 with 9 saves. But most of his success was early in the year. The 2-2 pitch is swung on a miss, strike 3, and he gets Willie Wilson. Corbett, though, in his last 6 outings, has struggled mightily. In fact, in 5 of those 6, he's given up home runs. Last time out against Cleveland, in Cleveland, he didn't get anybody out, facing 2 batters, and they both got hits. But he comes on and he gets Willie Wilson to lead things off for him with a run already in the 8th. Now it's Lonnie Smith, and the first pitch is all the way to the backstop, 1-0. Smith lays down a bunt. It's a dandy up the third base line. DeCinces has to let it roll, and then as it crosses the chalk, he touches it to make sure it stays foul. But if that one stays fair, Lonnie Smith is on with no problem. It was a beautiful bunt. 1 ball, 1 strike to Lonnie as he comes back. A 1-1 tie here in the 8th. Home runs have figured for both teams. For the Angels, it was DeCinces back in the 4th, and for the Royals, it's McCray in a pinch hit roll here in the 8th. As Lonnie Smith fouls one off. So 1-2. It has been a beautiful pitching duel to watch because both Sutton and Jackson outstanding. Corbett now trying to pick up the standard. 1-2, he has Lonnie Smith waiting. The next pitch is low and inside, 2-2. A run, 6 hits, and an error for the Angels. 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors for the Royals. Doug Corbett towing the rubber on the third base side. Now he straightens up. His 2-2 to Smith is down low, ball 3. So he had him 1-2, and now the count's full. DeCinces behind the bag near the line at third. Schofield in a step or 2 at short. Lonnie Smith can run well. The 3-2 pitch is chopped wide of third. DeCinces cuts the ball off in front of Schofield. Goes on to Grich for the out. 2 down. And that'll bring up Rudy Law, who's 1 for 3. When this series began, the Royals were playing their best baseball of the year. They had won 6 out of 7 until last night's defeat. But that was at home. Now they're trying to pick up that kind of a pace on the road, and all year long they have struggled away from Kansas City. In fact, it has been a nightmare for them away from home. The pitch to Rudy is a little inside, 1-0. They're 26 and 43 overall away from Royal Stadium. And remember, this is the defending world champs. The 1-0 pitch is over for a strike called, 1-1. So it's not been a typical Kansas City year. They started slow, and they have not gotten that second half kick that they usually are able to count on. The 1-1 from Corbett is pulled over first down the right field line and rolling into the corner. George Hendrick out to dig it out of the corner, and Rudy Law goes into second with a double. So a 2-out, 2-base hit by Rudy Law, and the Royals suddenly have the go-ahead run in scoring position. And that'll bring up Jamie Quirk, who is 1 for 3. Quirk, while he's hitting around 220, over the last 7 games has hit close to 400. And that's why you have to be careful with him. So a meeting at the mound, Boone out to talk with Corbett. And now he comes back to the home plate area. Quirk up there with a chance to give his club the lead for the first time tonight. Until this inning began, the Angels were on top, but Hal McRae changed that with a pinch hit home run. Quirk settling in. Corbett checks second, and the pitch is a fastball outside, 1-0. Angels 1, Royals 1. We're in the 8th. Corbett in some trouble now with 2 gone. Rudy Law stepping off at second base. Schofield hawking him a little bit. The outfield playing Quirk to pull. And the 1-0 delivery is down low. Make it 2-0. It doesn't get any easier for Corbett if he loses Quirk because Frank White's on deck. And of those in the lineup tonight for the Royals, he has the most home runs. Now they're going to take the bat out of Quirk's hand, and with first base open and him being left-handed, they're going to walk him intentionally. So there's ball 3 and ball 4 follows. So they're going to play the percentages. And even though White has the more ominous set of numbers, the fact that he's right-handed leads the Angels to go after him rather than Quirk. So this is a big crossroads in the ballgame right now. Corbett has 2 outs, but he has 2 on behind him. And he's facing the Royals' toughest hitter for power and runs batted in. And the pitch, ground ball hit towards short. Schofield has it. He goes the short way to Polidor for the fourth, and the strategy works. So they walk Quirk, they get the White, and they get the fourth to end the inning. Still, Kansas City gets even 1 run on 2 hits. The home run by McRae, the big one. There were no errors, 2 men left aboard. And after 7.5 at the Big A, it's now Angels 1 and Kansas City 1.
Well, all dressed up with no place to go. That applies to ABC, which finds itself with a Sunday baseball game of the week right down the stretch in the major leagues, but without a pennant race in which to focus. When ABC first got into baseball, it was strictly a Monday night affair, so that the network could get a slice of the postseason pie. ABC was willing to sacrifice poor summer ratings for a crack at the baseball world, but either the League Championship Series or maybe the big advertising rating Grand Slam, the World Series. The situation was modified when baseball allowed ABC to telecast a few late September Sunday games. ABC executives believed that even going up against the mighty National Football League on CBS and ABC, the network could fare no worse with a game between contenders than it was doing on the generally low-rated Monday night baseball games. Well, the plan to work well. ABC telecast the final game of the 1982 season, Baltimore and Milwaukee, with Don Sutton and Jim Palmer vying for the American League East crown. The network also had some exciting contests last year when the eventual National League champion St. Louis Cardinals and New York Mets were dueling down to the wire. But this year's a different story. The Mets, always a lucrative draw because of the large New York market, ended the National League East race seemingly before Memorial Day, and of course, on Wednesday clinched it. Scratch the National League East from the potential Sunday ABC telecast. National League West seemed to be brewing a race between Houston and Cincinnati. Exactly your
well, the Angels in another tight ball game. It seems night after night lately they're involved in a scrape. And they're going to have to try and come up with the magic again. Here in the 8th inning, Dick Schofield will step in. He's 2 for 3 as Jackson goes to work. Downing and DeCinces will be coming up next. And the next pitch is just inside the Schofield 1-0. The Angels on a roll. There's no question about it. They've had so many things go their way. And they just want to keep it moving in the right direction. Schofield grounds one back to the middle into center field. He has his 3rd hit of the night. And the Angels have the potential go-ahead run on base. Now we'll see what Gene Mauch chooses to do with Downing. Would he have him sacrifice? Brian doesn't do that very often, but every once in a while he might. In fact, checking Downing's statistics this year, he has 1 sacrifice on the season. Just 1. But you know, Gene likes little ball, and with the ball game up for grabs, we'll see if he asks Downing to come through with another sacrifice bunt. New shortstop for the Royals, Greg Pryor, taking over for Biancalana, who was lifted for the pinch hitter McRae, who tied the game with a homer. So make the change in your scorebook. Jackson, meanwhile, will go to first base. Schofield is back. Dick with those 22 thefts to match the number on his jersey. Bunting, and he fouls it up the first base line. 0-1. Well, Ron, Brian doesn't get a chance to bunt very often. But it appears that this will be one of those rare times. At least they had him trying on the first pitch.
You know, it's not that manager Gene Marks does not think that Downing can get a base hit off of Danny Jackson. It's just that he thinks that Doug DeCinces can.
And you give DeCinces a chance, and Hendrick after that. If you can move Schofield up, throw to first base. And Dick is back again. Quirk in on the grass at third by several strides. And he's guarding the line. The way Downing hits the ball, that's a dangerous position to be in if he doesn't bunt. Jackson ready, the strike one, and Bryan's around to bunt again, lays it down, first base side. Down to get it is Seitzer, and his only play is the white covering in time, and the sacrifice is executed perfectly. So the fans here at the Big A, knowing that Downing doesn't do that often, applauding the effort here. So Gene Marks getting the right kind of out from Downing, and now the question is, can they make it pay off? Schofield's in position. A 1-1 tie here in the eighth, and Doug DeCinces, who has carried the attack so many times the second half of the year, is going to be stepping in. Before he does, though, Mike Ferraro's going to the mound, and he's going to lift Danny Jackson. So the young left-hander, who has pitched very well, much as Don Sutton did, is going to leave it to the bullpen to try and keep the Angels from scoring in this inning. And we're waiting now for the bullpen gate to swing open and see who comes out. We would suspect Steve Farr, and that appears who it's going to be. So he's going to take over for Jackson. Angels baseball coming to you from the Big A with the score. Angels 1, Royals 1.
Well, getting back to that situation ABC has with the teams that have already sewed things up, just about sewed it up. The Mets did it on Wednesday, and the others are right behind.
While right-hander Steve Farr loosens up on the mound, we can keep you informed as to all the prizes that are building for Fan Appreciation Day on September 28th. A bowling ball and bag from Brunswick will be among those given away. Sunday, champagne brunch at the Summer Tree Restaurant at the Emerald of Anaheim.
Okay, well, we have a break in the action. Let's look at some final scores in the National League. Montreal beat Pittsburgh 6-5. In the first of a doubleheader, Pittsburgh evened things up in the second game, winning 4-1. In single action, Houston defeated Cincinnati by a score of 6-1. And it was the Cardinals over the Phillies 8-5.
Well, the battle lines have been drawn. Steve Farr summoned from the bullpen to try and put out the fire here in the eighth inning. A 1-1 tie. DeCinces steps in trying to change it. Farr ready at the bout. And the pitch. And DeCinces takes a breaking ball in there for a strike, 1-1. With Dan Quisenberry having an off year, Steve Farr has filled much of the void for the Royals this year, as he has pitched very well in a short relief role for them this season. He's 8-4, an ERA of 2.74. The pitch to Doug, over again, strike 2. And Doug backs away and takes a walk around home plate. Farr also with 8 saves, and he has some impressive numbers because in 108 innings so far this year, he's given up just 86 hits. That's a very good ratio. He's had good control, too. He's walked only 36 men during that 108 innings, and he struck out 82. So he's been tough on just about everybody. He has DeCinces, no balls, 2 strikes. The pitch is a fastball high, 1-2. Farr, a year ago, split his time between the Royal AAA affiliate in Omaha and the Royals. But this year, he's become a major cog in their short bullpen. DeCinces waiting 1-2. The Angels trying to regain the lead here in the eighth. Schofield at second with 1 out. Lots of room in right center for DeCinces. And the 1-2 pitch is a fastball just inside. Doug was moving away from the pitch, but it wasn't that far off the plate. Two and 2 the count. DeCinces planting the back foot, now steps in. The crowd trying to help out in the background. Schofield being hawked by White, and the pitch. Check swing, did he go around? They appeal to first. No, he did not. 3 and 2 to Doug. On deck, George Hendrick. deep and near the line at third. Pryor a step or two toward the hole at short, and outfielder Rudy Lowen left is deep and near the corner. The 3-2 to DeCinces is a ground ball to third. Down to get it is Quirk. He overhands to Seitzer in time, and DeCinces retires. And all the while, Schofield has to hold at second. So Jamie Quirk went down on 1D to make sure that ball didn't get through him. And the play, 5-3. So 2 down, George Hendricks due up, but he will not bat now that a right-hander has entered the game. Instead, Gene Mauch goes to his bench, and Rupert Jones will be sent into the breach. Hendrick was 1 for 3 while he was in there, and now it's Rupert Jones' turn. Rupert swinging the weighted bat, now putting some pine tar on the handle, and he will come walking up to the home plate area. Rupert hitting just .230, but he has 16 home runs, 46 runs batted in. The Angels have had many heroes the last month or so, and tonight may be Rupert's turn. A 1-1 tie here in the bottom of the 8th. 2 out, Schofield at second, eager to come home, and Rupert Jones will be stepping in. And as he does with first base open, Terry Bell, the catcher, will put up the free pass sign, and they'll take the bat out of Rupert's hands and ask Bobby Grich to step in there. And Bobby looking into the dugout as if to say, Skip, am I going to bat, or are you going to send up another pinch hitter? So ball 3 has been issued. Ball 4 will follow. So Mike Ferraro, the manager, acting manager for the Royals, is playing his cards. He's going to make Gene Mauch make a move, and stepping out of the Angel dugout to take over for Grich is Wally Joyner.
And now, just as an added note for you, Angels have been involved in 5 of the last 6 games, have been one-run games. The Angels have won 4 of those, and the other one was a 2-run ball game. So the Angels continue to play well in those one-run contests.
And their overall record is what? 27-13, 27-12, 27-12, and that's a very impressive mark indeed. Now that Joyner has been announced to the crowd, out pops Ferraro from the Royals dugout, and he's going to the mound, and that suggests he's making a change, and that he'll bring in a left-hander to face Wally. And that's what's going to happen. So the chant is going up, Wally, Wally, but they'll have to wait to see what Joyner can do, as Ferraro is going to play another card in his deck. It's a 1-1 tie, bottom of the 8th, and the ball game may well be on the line, and Ferraro is pulling out the stops as a result. Bud Black, who we referred to earlier in our broadcast, having on this date in '84 served up Reggie's 500th career home run. Black coming on now, not as a starter as he was then, but as a reliever. So he takes over. Angels baseball coming to you from the Big A with the score. Angels 1 and the Royals 1.
Again, going over that game between the New York Mets at home at Shea Stadium, and they're clinching the East Division title of the National League against the Cubs. They certified what others had long ago conceded, that they would do that long before the season's over. Dwight Gooden pitched a 6-hitter. Dave Madigan went 3 for 4, giving the Mets 95 victories, more than the second-place Phillies could achieve even by winning the rest of their games. With a crowd of 47,823 cheering under a full moon, Gooden raised his record to 15-6. Dennis Eckersley, now 6-10, took the loss as the Mets finally wrapped up a title they could have formalized 5 days ago. Magadan, a late replacement for virus-ridden first baseman Keith Hernandez, produced his first Major League RBI with 3rd and 5th inning singles. Gooden lacked his best stuff, but struck out 7 and walked 4 in his 11th complete game of the season.
So left-hander Bud Black has entered this evening's drama. And as he does, he has some pretty good numbers, too, though he's 5 and 7. His earned run average, 3.35. He's making his 51st appearance. And his 47th as a reliever. He has 7 saves, so he and Favre combined for 15. In 105 innings, he's given up 89 hits. That's a good ratio right there. And he's walked 36 while striking out 61. So Bud Black loosening up. The Angels with 2 on, 2 out here in the 8th. And Wally Joyner due up the pinch hit for Gritch. 10 more games on this final homestand, and you can still order your tickets for... Ron brought up an interesting point during the break. With all of the changes that have gone on in this inning, Barr was brought on. He got to Sensei. Hendrick was lifted for a pinch hitter, Rupert Jones. Rich is lifted for a pinch hitter, Wally Joyner. Barr gives way to Black, and so what has happened is that Mike Ferraro has brought in a right-hander, and in the process he has gotten rid of a couple of right-handed hitters in the Angel attack, Hendrick and Gritch. And now he has another left-hander on the mound. And it's lefty against lefty. And at least percentage-wise, it would appear Kansas City with the edge. But that's assuming that Black is facing the average left-hand hitter. Joyner has been anything but that all year. He's hitting .296 as he stepped in. 2 on, 2 out. A 1-1 tie in the 8th. And Black delivers a fastball that's low. 1-0. So part of the fun of this time of the year is watching the virtual chess game between the managers as they try to orchestrate their pieces to best advantage. So 1-0, and Joyner takes in there for a strike, and he was bending away from that one. 1-1. 1 run, 7 hits, and an error for the Angels. 1 run, 4 hits, and no errors for the Royals. Black, fastball, slider pitcher, and he has emerged as a good one out of the pen. He takes a glance at the runners. The 1-1 to Joyner. Side armor, grounded toward the right side. Backhanded by White. He overhands to Seitzer in time, and the inning is over. Ferraro apparently makes all the right moves as the manager for the Royals, and the Angels are denied. No runs. 1 hit, no errors. 2 men left on base, and we're going to the 9th, locked up in a 1-1 tie.
In the National League at Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, that game is, again, that final score in the American League. The Pale Hose 3 and the Seattle Mariners nothing.
As we go to the 9th inning, a 1-1 tie, let's pause for station identification.
This is the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Doug Corbett concluding his warm-ups as we go to the 9th inning. The 6, 7, and 8 men will be coming up for the Royals, and that means Seitzer, Bo Jackson, and Terry Bell, assuming no substitutions for manager Mike Ferraro. And Seitzer will indeed come up to start things. The 2 starting pitchers gone now. Sutton and Jackson both pitched well. Sutton going 7 innings, giving up 3 hits and a run. And the run came in on the home run by McRae. Jackson went 7 1/3, gave up 7 hits and 1 run. And that came on a home run by DeCinces. So we have another tight ball game, and the Angels certainly have been in their share lately. Seitzer 0 for 2 with a walk. Corbett ready to go, and the first pitch is swung on and chopped foul at the plate, 0-1. In the key games elsewhere in baseball tonight, Boston took a giant step toward winning that American League East Division Championship. They beat Milwaukee 4-1 behind Oil Ken Boyd, while both Toronto and New York were losing. The strike 1, and that's over but low, 1-1 to Seitzer. So that means Boston has its magic number reduced to 7. And they have a big 10-game lead in the East. There's a fastball outside to Seitzer, 2-1. Speaking of the divisional leaders, in the National League East, New York won their ball game over Chicago behind Dwight Gooden, and they clinched the Eastern Division Championship there. So congratulations to the Mets. The next one to Seitzer is popped into the air, shallow left center field. Pettis and Downing converging. and it's Pettis to make the catch. And that'll bring up Bo Jackson. The Angels defensively here in the ninth, a couple of changes. Wally Joyner, who pinch hit for Bobby Grich in the eighth inning, staying in there at first base. And Rupert Jones, who did much the same for George Hendrick, now in right field for him. So here's Bo Jackson, who in a similar situation last night hit a home run to the opposite field to momentarily give the Royals a tie. And the Angels subsequently won it in the bottom of the eighth. And here's Jackson, who's already earned the respect of the opposition after a very brief stay in the big league. Corbett ready, and now he'll deliver. And the first pitch to Bo Jackson is a fastball low, 1-0. And while Jackson is a threat for the long ball, certainly, he is a threat also for the base hit, even an infield base hit. And the Angels have the left side of the infield shortened up on him. The next pitch is swung on a miss, and he was trying for the home run right there. He was thinking downtown. Big cut, big miss, 1 ball, 1 strike to him. The Angels with the infield in on the left side, and you can understand the thinking of Gene Mark. If Jackson chops one on the ground, with his feet, he's going to beat it out unless you play in a little bit.
He already has 5 infield hits.
A point well taken. Here's the 1-1 to Jackson, and it's just inside. 2-1. So while the left side is in, the right side is at normal depth. Maybe even a little back as far as Joyner's concerned. He's almost on the rim at first. So an interesting alignment, and I would guess that would be the reason. Ron, would you think of any other that would make sense? The Angels, in essence, showing respect for his speed as well as his power. The 2-1 from Corbett. Chopper towards short, cut off by DeCinces. He throws to first in time. Well, the Angels had Jackson figured out there, and the defense perfectly set up for him. So 2 down, and that'll bring up Terry Bell, a young catcher up from the minor leagues. Bell, acquired by the Mariners in exchange for pitcher Mike Koosman back in May, hit .235 down in the minors this year at the Double-A level with no home runs, 15 RBIs. The first one from Corbett, swung on a miss, 0-1. A 1-1 tie, we're in the ninth. 2 out, nobody on. Terry Bell at the plate. He does not have a big league hit yet. The pitch to him is over for a strike, 0-2. Bell, in fact, getting his first chance at a big league at bat. He walked once in a previous plate appearance, but that's it. The 0-2 is a ground ball to short. Schofield to his right, gloves it, sidearm to Joyner in time, and the ninth inning is in the book. Doug Corbett has pitched well in relief for 2 innings, and that may be a good sign for the future. So, the Royals gone in order in the ninth. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. Burleson, Polidor, and Boone are due up with the score. Angels 1, Royals 1.
Stalled Tigers ace Fernando Valenzuela's bid to become the National League's first 20-game winner.
Bottom of the ninth inning here at Anaheim Stadium. The Angels and the Royals locked up in a 1-1 tie. And the Halos, who have come up with so much magic of late in the late innings, asked to do it again. Bud Black, though, trying to send it into extra innings. He has concluded his warm-ups. The throw has gone down to second base, and we're just about ready for this ninth inning to unfold. This crowd of some 27,067 not going anywhere, not with the way the Angels have been playing lately. And they're hopeful that tonight again they'll be able to go home celebrating a late inning rally for the Angels. Rick Burleson trying to do the honors to start it here. He is 0 for 2 tonight. Quirk inside the bag near the line at third. Black delivers a fastball that's high away, 1-0. Seitzer at first base. Behind the bag, he's near the line there too as they protect against the extra base hit. The 1-0 pitch, and that's a change over nicely, 1-1 to Burley. Checking the outfield alignment. They are swung around slightly toward right for Burleson. Fairly good-sized hole to shoot at in the alley and left. The 1-1 to Burleson is swung on, popped in the air in the shallow left center field. Willie Wilson coming on. Lonnie Smith is there too, and it's Lonnie Smith, correction. Rudy Law makes the catch. Lonnie Smith, assuming a DH role tonight. And it's Law in left.
Second baseman, Gus Polidor.
So one away, and Gus Polidor steps in. He is 0 for 3. He had 2 hits last night. In fact, he's had a couple of 2-hit performances since his recall. So he has not been an easy out, although he's hitless this evening. Bell wigwagging the sign. Black into his windup. First one to Polidor is a fastball outside, 1-0. The Angels have played a lot of extra inning games lately. Remember, on the road trip, they played 1 in Cleveland and 2 in Chicago. Here's the 1-0 pitch to Black, and it's swung on and fouled back, 1-1. And the Angels would like to win it in regulation here, but unless they can get something going, extra innings would be in the offing. The Angels 6-5 in extra innings, and Kansas City 6-9. The 1-1 to Polidor. Change over again, make it 1-2. The Angel magic number is 10. All the other divisional leaders in baseball tonight won and dropped theirs a notch or more, and the Angels would like to do the same. The 1-2 pitch to Polidor, and there's a broken bat ground ball slowly past the mound towards second. White has it and goes to first in time. There are 2 down, and Bud Black sprawled out on the ground watching that play. He tried to flag down the little roller and then fell to the turf, but he appears to be okay. So 2 up, 2 down in the 9th inning, and Bob Boone will step up. Bob is 0 for 3 tonight, but that's deceiving because he might well have had 2 hits. After hitting back to the box in the 3rd, he lined to second in the 5th, and then hit a big chopper over the mound behind second in the 7th inning. Frank White made a nice play on him. Black sends it home, and a fastball is high, 1-0. Angels won, and the Royals won. Bottom of the 9th inning here at the stadium. DeCinces homered to get the Angels on the board in the 4th. McRae with a pinch hit blast in the 8th. Fastball is high to Boone, 2-0. So both teams have scored with the long ball, and the pitching really has been outstanding tonight. Black shaking off a couple of signs. Here's the 2-0 delivery to Boone, and it's high and away, ball 3. But you know, the fact that the 2 teams have put on a pitching clinic tonight, that really isn't that surprising, because entering this series, these 2 teams are the top 2 in terms of pitching in the American League. Kansas City with a staff ERA at 3.82. The Angels right behind at 3.88. Boone takes one in there for a strike, make it 3-1. Although Kansas City would tell you, though we're leading the league in ERA, it has not been a dominating type performance. They've had their problems. The 3-1 to Boone. Popped up, foul ground, first base side. Coming over for the ball is Seitzer, but he's going to run out of room as it goes back into the crowd about 5 rows. 3-2, the count to Booney. Tomorrow night in the finale of the series, Mike Witt, 17-8, goes against Dennis Leonard, 8-11. Why don't you come out and join us? It's been great baseball here at the stadium for about a month now. Sure you want to be part of it. The 3-2 to Boone is a drive into right field. Bo Jackson going back, but he's there, and he makes the catch, and the side retires. So the Angels go quietly against Bud Black in the 9th, and that means we're going to extra innings. And as we look at the scoreboard, the story quite simple. It's the Angels won and the Royals won. Well, it's been quite a night for pitchers here at the Big A. Just about everyone who has towed the rubber has been outstanding tonight for both sides. And we're locked up in a 1-1 tie as we go to the 10th inning. Another extra inning ball game for the Angels, and they certainly have had a lot lately. And as we mentioned in the 9th inning, they had 3 on the last road trip alone, 3 of the 6 ball games. And they're going extra innings tonight. And to tell you how the Angels have done in extra innings and more, here's Ron.
Thank you very much, Alan. Greg Pryor will lead things off. He'll be followed by Willie Wilson and then Lonnie Smith. In extra inning games, Angels have won 6 of 11, while Kansas City has won 6 of 15 this year. So the Angels with a slight edge as far as extra inning games are concerned. This will be the first plate appearance of the game for Greg Pryor. Doug Corbett back to the mound for another inning of work. And the first pitch is over the plate but low for ball one. 1 ball, no strikes. 1 ball, no strikes. Fryer batting 171. No home runs and 5 runs driven in. Corbett working from the stretch. And the next pitch is a bouncer foul wide of third. A couple of hops and then goes into the stand. 1 ball, 1 strike. Angels with a run in the 4th inning and the home run by Doug DeCince. And then a pinch hit home run by Hal McRae. In the 8th inning, that has tied it. Here's the 1-1 pitch by Corbett, and it's in the dirt low for ball 2. 2-1. Don Sutton started, went 7 innings. Really pitched a fine ball game. Whenever you can hold this Kansas City team to just 1 run for 7 innings, you've done a good job. Sutton walked 3, struck out 3, and gave up just 3 hits. So a good performance by the veteran right-hander. Fryer waiting. Here's the 2-1 pitch, and it's a comebacker and 1 easy hop. Corbett has it, and he goes to Joyner. There's out number 1. That will bring up the leadoff man, Willie Wilson. And Wilson is 0 for 4 tonight. He has struck out a couple of times, but has hit safely in 6 of the last 7 games. So this is a very important out right here. Wilson batting 270. About 2 or 3 years ago, he led the American League in hitting. There's a bouncer to shortstop on 2 hops. Schofield with a quick release in time, and they get the speedster going down the line. That is 6-3 and a put out. That makes 2 away, and that brings up the designated hitter, Lonnie Smith. Angels have out-hit Kansas City 7-4. And we're tied at 1. Lonnie Smith, 0 for 4. He is working on an 11-game hitting streak. Action out of the Angels bullpen. Cannot see who it is right now. And the pitch by Corbett is a check swing, and it's fouled away. Lonnie Smith batting 290. Started the game at 293. That's the high point of the season for him there. All the other games, we have final scores for you. Ray Chadwick throwing out of the bullpen for the Angels, a right-hander. DeCince on the line at third. Joyner just a little bit off of the line at first base. The 0-1 pitch is low and outside, 1-1. Outfield of Downing, Pettis, and then Rupert Jones. Playing Lonnie Smith pretty much straight away. Here's the 1-1 pitch by Corbett. Hit off the hands, rolled towards shortstop. Coming in is Schofield. He has it. Scoops and throws in time. Another good play by the shortstop. And Doug Corbett has an easy 1-2-3 inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. And after 9.5 here at the Big A, we're still tied at 1.
On the third defendant, Thomas Carbone, who is a fugitive and was tried in absentia.
For the 10th inning. They're going to be sending up the top of the order. It'll be Gary Pettis, Schofield, and then Brian Downing. Game tied at 1. Danny Jackson started and went 7 1/3 innings. And then Steve Farr came in and worked 1/3 of an inning, and now it has been Bud Black. Gary Pettis will be batting right-handed. He is 1 for 4 this evening. And as we had mentioned, Gary swinging the bat well lately. He has hit safely in 10 of the last 12 games. Here's the first pitch of the inning by the left-hander, and Pettis swings to a high fastball. May have chased ball 1. So the count is 0-1 to Gary. Bud Black, 5-7 against the league, making his 51st appearance of the year. He's worked in 104 innings at the start of the night. The next pitch is a breaking ball low and inside. That evens up the count. 1 ball, 1 strike. They shade Pettis way around toward right field. There's a huge gap in left center. If Gary can get out in front of one. Here's the 1-1 pitch on the way, and Pettis hits one off the hands. An easy comebacker to Bud Black. He has it, and he goes on to first base, and there's out number 1. 1-3 and a put out. That brings up Dick Schofield. He's had a good night. He has 3 hits in this game. He's 3 for 4. Last year, Bud Black had a record of 10 and 15. Appeared in 33 games, used as a starter. Completed 5, tossed a couple of shutouts last year, pitched in 205 innings. The left-hander, 6'2", 180-pounder. Makes his home there in Kansas. And the first pitch is on the outside corner, strike one to Schofield. Black builds the windup again, and the left-hander's 0-1 pitch is high and outside. That evens up the count. Bud came to the major leagues in 1982, but it was in 83 where he really started putting some victories together. Here's the 1-1 pitch. A changeup swung on and missed. Schofield really fooled on the pitch. And the count goes to 1-2. It was in 83 that Black won 10 ball games while losing just 7. And then came back in 84, won 17 ball games, and then last year won 10. Schofield waiting. And the 1-2 pitch is on the way. And Schofield takes it high for ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Black can rush it up there in a hurry. He has pretty good stuff. His strikeout ratio this year. Here's the 2-2 pitch. He swung on, hit in the hole, and under the glove of Quirk on into left field. And Schofield has 4 hits in the game. And Al right now is checking to see how many times this year Schofield has had 4 hits in a game, or if he has had one. That brings up Brian Downing. Downing is 0 for 2 tonight. He popped up to first, struck out, walked in the 5th, and sacrificed in the 8th. And so we have just informed, thank you, Al, this is the first 4-hit game for Schofield this year. So the Angels have the winning run on base. Black comes set, the high leg kick, runner does not go, and it's a tailing fastball outside for ball 1.
Well, would you send him on? Would you give him a shot, or would you just figure that Downing is potentially an extra base hitter or a long ball man, and if he finds the alley, Schofield has a chance to score? What would you do?
Well, Schofield has stolen 22 of 26 attempts. I'd have to say that if he can get a good jump, go ahead and let him go. But the one thing is you don't want to do is run out of the inning. There's a toss to first base. Black appears to be one of those left-handers that if he's not looking at you, you better be careful.
There is an unknown quantity in all of this thinking, though.
Is Terry Bell.
Terry Bell, the catcher.
You don't know, and that's one of the scouting reports that manager Gene Mock has to know. What kind of a throwing arm does Bell have? And we have never seen him throw. Black comes set, runner does not go, and the pitch is over for a strike. That evens up the count. In the last 11 games, Downing has been very consistent. He has driven in 11 runs. As we mentioned to you in the month of September, he's been batting right close to that 400 mark with 3 home runs to go along with that almost 400 batting average. There's a throw to first base, and that time Bud Black, like so many left-handers, stepped about 3/4. He did not step to the plate, but he didn't step to first base either. And that's a borderline balk. The left-hander comes set again, and Downing slings and fouls one back out of play, and boy, did he have a rip.
You know, the outfield has fanned out well for Downing. There's lots of room in both alleys. There's a big, big hole between Law and Wilson. Really, Law deep and near the line, almost in the corner out there in left.
That is true, and you've got all 3 guys out there that can run extremely well. Wilson in center, and, of course, Bo Jackson in right. So if you hit one between them, you better hit it hard and better not hit it very high. Black again ready, and the pitch to Downing is swung out and hit well to left field. Back goes Rudy Law. He's in the corner. Look out, it's gone! And the Angels win it 3-1. Brian Downing, with his 18th home run of the year, wins it for the Angels in the bottom of the 10th inning. And Doug Corbett picks up the victory. And for the totals, here's Al.
Well, another dramatic finish for the Angels. The crowd on its feet for the Halos. 3 runs on 9 hits. They commit 1 error and leave 8 men on base. For the Royals, 1 run on just 4 hits. They commit no errors, and leaves 7 men on base. The winning pitcher, as you've heard, is Doug Corbett. And Doug pushes his record to 4-2. The loser is Bud Black. He falls to 5-8. All of this before 27,067 here in the house tonight, and they'll go home happy again.